Whether you're new to gaming or have been enjoying video games all your life, great gaming is not only about having fun and escaping the stresses of everyday life, but also being there to pick up our teammates, especially when they're down.
Guardian down.
We're a Destiny 2 podcast that focuses on three things: promoting a positive gaming community, sharing news around the industry in Destiny 2, and discussing thought-provoking topics in the game. We're Guardian Downcast, your stories, your community, and your destiny. What's up, Guardian? Welcome to episode 311. Oh, hey, 311. Rock on. I'm your host, Todd the Gator, and I'm a Day One Guardian who loves gaming and especially the Destiny franchise. We're the podcast that's all about your stories, your community, and your destiny. As always, my host from the great state of Utah is here as well, Mr. Kingsley Mack. How you doing, man? How you been tonight?
Hey, I'm glad to be here yet once again. And yes, 311 is a good episode number. Better yet, it's a really good band.
Absolutely. For those of you who have just discovered our little podcast, we're a weekly gaming show with an emphasis on the Destiny franchise. We like to sprinkle in some entertainment and other topics of discussion relating to our hobbies from time to time as well. But we've been producing audio episodes for almost 6 years now. Our 6-year anniversary will be actually the week of Edge of Fate. That'll be our 6-year anniversary of podcasting. But we now produce live versions of our show on YouTube, Twitch, and of course our Discord stage channel where you can interact with us live. It's, we like to conversate with you guys. Is that a word? Conversate? Anyway. We like to get your feedback while we're talking about the subject. And that's a cool thing about doing a live show. And of course, we'll mention your comments. That way the people who are listening to audio can hear what you guys think as well. So, oh boy, questions already coming in. Well, this week, Kingsley Mack and I are fresh from watching that Bungie's second live stream reveal concerning Destiny 2 Edge of Fate and what will be coming our way on July 15th, which is less than 2 weeks away now, guys. We each have our opinions on what we saw, and we'll discuss it tonight and also see what our live chat thinks as well. After catching up our week, we'll also go over any important information from this week in Destiny for July 3rd, and I heard it's a big twab. I don't know, I haven't looked at it. No, I'm just kidding. Next, we'll have a conversation over a very much related topic of the week. I think we have a Dev Insight article that Kingsley might mention as well, somewhere in the middle there. Finally, we're going to answer our questions from our chat live and from our Discord community. And if you are interested in joining our Discord community, it's an awesome gaming community. It's discord.gg/Guardian Downcast. It's all Destiny this week, so if everyone's ready, let's roll.
Hey, thanks for listening to Guardian Downcast. There are several ways you can contact us. First, you can find us on X at Guardian Downcast. Or you can find us on our Instagram at Guardian Downcast and see what pics and reels Todd the Gator and his podcast guests want to share with you guys. We have a brand new website too. Just visit guardiandowncast.com, where you can find all of our contact info, leave us a voicemail, give our show a rating or review, search for any past episodes, or even give back to our community. Also, don't forget to sign up for future updates to the show, where we'll also have random drawings throughout the year, and you may win a gift card or even some GDC merch. And finally, you can send us an email at guardiandowncast@gmail.com. Our community thrives on interaction, so get involved and check us out.
Well, Kingsley, we just watched the live Bungie live stream number 2 this last Tuesday at Reset, and I had some words. I think you had some words as well. I saw what you were posting in our Discord community this week. I kind of know where your sentiment lies, but let me know what initial impressions right off the bat. What's in your mind right now after watching that?
Yeah, so they did. I would say I want to use a word somewhere between moderately and quite a bit better this time with the live stream. And I don't even know exactly how I feel. It doesn't totally matter because we're going to forget about this in a couple weeks anyways. But the stream was definitely better with, another cool little launch trailer at the beginning, of course. But, we could have gotten that even outside of a stream. And they went right into showing us finally information on the destination and things that are going on and exciting new stuff, because yes, we love our quality of life changes, but we need some actual content also to be excited about. And so it was a pretty good stream. I feel like then we get to the second half and it was kind of getting a little bit boring again. I don't know if boring is the right word, but slightly repetitive stuff or things that they didn't really need to have in a stream, in my opinion, especially again, where they're giving us all these long twids and everything like that. But definitely a better stream. And I'm not really, I don't know if we want to talk about like the mechanics of like what we're excited about of the actual destination is a different topic later or now or whatever, but the stream itself, that's what I thought.
Yeah. What I'll give you my general impression and then we'll get down into the highlights and lowlights, right? Does that sound good? Generally, when I turned off the stream, I felt a lot better than last week. There was a little more substance to what I was watching. There were a lot of questions I actually were answered for me watching this live stream, where last week it seemed like I had more questions than answers. But overall, much better. I agree with you on that. But I had some highlights I wanted to mention here. I'm sure you do too. But I also have some stuff that I was not too happy about with the live stream. But first off, I got to start with the trailer, man. I mean, it's very Matrix-like. It's, with the open ringing phone and some kind of time travel, I'm guessing. I'm actually very curious how this Metrovania type game style is going to integrate into this very unusual storyline and campaign that we're all we're used to a certain way that they tell the story. It's very linear. It's very, complete this, go to this, complete this, go to this, the way Final Shape was, which don't get me wrong. Final Shape was a fantastic story. It's a fantastic campaign. The way they brought everybody together, spoiler alert, brought all the characters kind of back together in like a kumbaya moment. But yeah, I really like that trailer. That trailer got me interested. And I think they started off with a bang with that trailer. Even though it was a short, fairly short and didn't really say a whole lot, it definitely got my curiosity. And it's something that I'm just, what really the first thought that came to my mind is, okay, this is a really unusual story. I mean, I think we went back to the 50s and 60s in some of these scenes. I'm trying to figure out how are they going to fit that into secret areas and the way they put this campaign together, which I think is going to be totally different than what they're used to doing. And they mentioned it was going to be that way, but I think it's going to be a lot more different than what a lot of us are expecting. But I'll start with that highlight. You got anything to add to it?
Well, on that information, yeah, the trailer was good, but it didn't get me as hyped because they can always make good trailers even for seasonal content that doesn't necessarily end up being super great. So I'm not saying this isn't going to be great. I'm just saying like the trailer, I'm just being realistic on it. I kind of even back, I'm not going to add anything in conversation. I already talked about some of these spoilers earlier, like way back last November, but everything's coming true with what they said as far as like time travel and a train. I mean, they showed the train coming. Yeah. We're not spoiling anything there. That was in the official trailer. We don't know what it means,
like
but like a train kind of comes through a portal. And so if you can kind of imagine portals and time travel and Weird Nine stuff and us going to this other location, how it all comes together, I don't really care. It'll be fun to find out when I jump into it. I do think, I heard some, information on how the different zones play together and I don't think necessarily things will be like as Metrovania as some are expecting, but there's going to be elements to that, of course. And then I had more questions than answers, but it was fine for the most part. Like, I don't care either. It's like, I never want them, to like spoil things, but like, I just saddened that they didn't really like, give us just more bones of two things. They're waiting way too long, 2 weeks before to like really kind of give us like just a general idea of like this location where like Final Shape and all the previous years before, we knew just more basics of stuff. And then just kind of like I know they added in some information because people were complaining like, well, what are we going to do other than just a campaign?
Right.
And so they were starting to answer some of those questions. And they did it kind of good, but they can do it a little bit better. And I think they would get more people excited without even being anywhere close to what they've done previous years where they didn't spoil stuff either. And so I think they really dropped the ball on that. But, it was a good thing to watch and got me excited. I said in the Discord, I am, I always, this whole way, most people, I'm curious to hear I know you usually have high expectations anyways, being more like the Bungie show. I usually have more like realistic, lower expectations. And usually mine stay pretty much the same. Some things have gone down, some things have gone up a little bit on the location and since they finally gave us some information, my vibe is actually like 10% better now with the location and the campaign and some of the things. I'm like, man, this is good. This is what they needed to do. They didn't do it in a great way, but they did it in an okay way. Mm-hmm. And I think that's good. So that'll be interesting to see how it comes to play.
Well, I kind of jotted down notes as I was watching it, so I'll just start going down the line here, and we can interact. Yeah. And of course, I've got some negative stuff to say as well. Not that negative is toxic. It's just we're just telling the things that we think should be better. What's up, Arisen Phoenix?
I like the word. Like you have some constructive feedback, or like I think we in the community. And this is a dovetail from last week's conversation too. Like we use the word negative to mean too many things, and when someone says the word negative, sorry, I'm on a little soapbox, but when someone says the word negative, they overuse that word when people aren't even complaining necessarily, or they can even underuse the word. But we know that it's good to give feedback where we think things should be different or better, and it doesn't mean we're being negative.
I wanted to answer a question in chat. JD Kent had, he goes, the biggest question I have is are they going to reset our Guardian ranks? Do we lose our loadout slots? I think they said that the loadout slots were going to stay in the game. We're going back to level 2 as far as our Guardian rank, and then we'll go up from there. But the good news is that we'll be able to raise our Guardian ranks just from portal activities, which I really liked because I really didn't want to go dig solo a dungeon. Even, I don't
do the ranks. Will we lose loadout slots? I think is what he's asking, because does level 2 have less loadout slots?
That's right. I don't know. That is a good question, actually. But they did say that our loadout UI was going to stay intact. I remember them answering that question in post. But we know,
JD. Yeah. Maybe we do. But I don't think we do.
And Arisen Phoenix says, I'm hoping they are finally learning to underpromise and overdeliver. You and me both, brother. I really hope that's what they're doing. I'll just go down the line here and we'll just go through it. The first thing I did like is that you unlock two more difficulty levels above the normal Brave and Legend as far as the campaign, and you get a lot better rewards. At least they're stating that after you play those Brave or Legend modes, and it unlocks Fabled and Mythic, which are 150 and 200 power respectively. That part I really like, because there's one thing that I always love to do playing the campaign. Sometimes I really want to go back and play it again, but there was no reason to. I already got the exotic. There was really no reason for me to go back into that story, which I just enjoyed. I don't know. What do you think about that part? Are you going to play the Fabled and Mythic campaign?
And real quick, Kilvin says he thinks he heard where DMG tweeted about not losing loadout spots if you already earned them. So that's cool news. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Kelvin, for letting us know that. Yeah, because I remember DMG tweeting that, I believe. Yep.
Yeah. So on that, and I do have I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because there's been a lot of, not just in our community, but in other communities too, there's been a lot of peer pressure the last several years. I feel like people should go into the campaign on heroic mode right away, right? And I kind of shake my head at that, because there's a lot of people that don't have as much experience, and then they get really frustrated and they can't get through it, and then they need people to group up. My opinion is everyone should start the campaign on normal. Here's why. I mean, you can do whatever you want, people, but you're probably going to want to do the campaign twice anyways. Most people are. And so that way you can get through it quicker on normal, get that done, and then run it the second time on heroic. So to answer your question, I am probably going to do the next level up. I don't really have an interest in doing the harder level. However, one of the things that they were kind of hinting towards was there are some, it sounded like they said more than just like triumphs, but there may be some side quests or unlockable areas that may not be accessible unless you do the hardest mode. So because of that, I might have some interest in doing the hardest mode. Of course, it would probably be better done in a fire team. But to answer your question, normally, if 3 modes, hell no, on the hardest mode. But if there's some cool, like, new area or not just weapons for me, but cool new experience, then I will do the harder mode.
Yeah, see, I had that on my list of things I was going to talk about, but I'll jump right to it since we're on that topic. They said that we were getting more flexibility in how we want to complete the campaign. We can take our time, go look for side quests, which there are going to be side quests on the regular campaign as well. But what Kingsley Mac is alluding to is that they're going to have even more quests that are going to open up after you complete the campaign itself on either Brave or Legend. And when you play those harder content, that they're going to be there's going to be all kinds of missions that open up. I think they said a lot of them are going to be character based, talking about the important characters of the story, which, man, I love that stuff. I eat that stuff up. And they said it would only be 10 or 15 minutes. So, like, quick in and out, probably going to get a line or two of dialogue or maybe 4 lines of dialogue, and then we're out. At least we know something more about that character, and we'll get something for it. Now, Tajo nailed it in the Discord chat. He goes, my number one excitement and thing I'm looking forward to is actually having a reason to play basic activities again for decent rewards. That is one of my big takeaways from this live stream, is that I really think this expansion was made for players like me that like to grind but want to be rewarded for doing that grind. If you're going to have me run an Empire hunt, which I haven't done in ages because that was Shadowkeep content, or Beyond Light content, if you give me something cool besides an old planetary weapon that I've already got 5 of and don't use anyway, if you're going to give me a really good reward for going to do that Empire hunt and say solo ops, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and I'll actually have fun playing it again because I know there's something at the end of that I'm going to get something out of it. And I know that goes against what you like to do, Kingsley, because you want to discover stuff. You want more story and content, right? Which is kind of where you think it fell short.
Well, I don't know. I think there's going to be, but this dovetails back because, like, we were getting a little off from the location thing. Chat can definitely distract you at times, but
I'm trying to keep up with them because they've got a lot of information throwing at me tonight. But
I think from what I am gathering, that there will be a lot of side quests that open up after the campaign, but most of them are not on the hardest mode. There will probably be some on the hardest mode, but I did see a little spoiler thing that kind of shows, I won't say things, but things that show things that we've seen in the past. Now, it won't be the same experiences in the past, but they will be like these little, it's exactly these little side missions that you were talking about, these little 10-minute things. Remember kind of like those little purple icons on the map a long time ago? They were little side quests. I think they called them like world quests or whatever.
What are they called?
I have a feeling those are coming back, but there's no way they're going to have a majority of those on the harder mode. So I think when all said and done, it's not like I don't like getting the rewards and the weapons, but the number one thing for me that I'm excited to play over and over again is, like, if these areas can be variable, if when I go back in them, it's not the same thing again. You know what I mean? Like the same, I have to do my little ball again to go in this vent that I did 10 times before. If they can have a different path that opens, or if they can have this or that, like a true, variable thing, that's what I'm looking forward to. And I'm skeptical how well it can be done, but either way, and we know it's less content this coming year than the year before, at least the amount that we do play, I think it'll be when we're in it. I think the way I'm going to explain it is, I'm not sure this will last me any longer. It may even last less than Final Shape for interest, but when I'm in it, it could be just as interesting, if not more interesting, mechanically wise. And I don't mean like systems like, the new Armor 2.0. I mean, like, playing the missions over and over again. It might not be as exciting as the Final Shape finale, but it might be just as interesting or more interesting to me because of variations and things that are happening and fun new ways to experience things.
Yeah, I'm just really curious how they're going to tie together this whole year of prophecy. It's definitely got my wheels spinning, that's for sure. Another thing I did like about it kind of feels like we're going to start a Destiny 3, and I know I don't jump all over me. I don't mean it. I mean, as far as content, yeah, I agree. They have a lot of recycled content here, and I think this first expansion, this first season, is going to be all about getting us used to this new user interface. I really think that's what they're doing. And I really hope that they're going to start mixing in newer stuff as we get into Ash and Iron. That's the one thing I kept hearing on this from the devs on the couch, is that they kept referring to Ash and Iron like this was going to be the next seasonal thing that really starts to fill the gaps from what they're talking about right now. Now, I do love
I have a pet peeve on that, though. Yeah. I think that's marketing speak. I'm not saying it's not going to be good, but that
could be
pushing the ball down the road to keep people excited.
I
understand. Don't worry. This update didn't have a lot of content, but wait for the next one. Wait for the next one. We've been pushing the ball down the road so many years now. It's going to get better. It's going to get better.
I understand. I know where you're coming from there, but I do love what we're starting at 10 power, because I love seeing number go up. And, I love the fact that, we start at 10 and I think we know all this already. The soft cap's 200, the hard cap or the pinnacle cap's going to be 450. And they mentioned stuff in the TWAB today that we'll talk about briefly, because I'm not going to spend an hour and a half on the TWAB tonight. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. So we're going to really go through the information pretty quick tonight. But I really wanted to talk about more about this, about the live stream, because it kind of shapes what we're expecting. I tell you the one thing I did like, and they showed this security area that they had to break through in this free roaming zone areas, and that there were high value targets out there, all kinds of ways to get extra loot and stuff. And that's what they were showing, kind of like right at the beginning of the live stream, was them having to get through like a couple medium sized bosses and stuff, and to get through into, I don't know if it was what they had to do to get into the next level campaign, or whether it was just an open area in the world going to some, and they talk about a 3-man activity that they never really expanded on. So everyone is just like kind of like 3-man activity. I mean, that could be anything. I think the reason they didn't talk about the 3-man activity, I think it's going to tie into the story. I really do. I really think the 3-man activity is going to have something to do with this Lodi guy, might tie into some parts of the story. And I think that's the reason they're really keeping I'm sure they're chomping at the bit to want to tell you what's actually going to happen. I don't know. All
right. Aster Cross disagrees.
Okay.
He says that he played the activity and he guarantees there's ways that they could have and should have shown it that wouldn't have spoiled anything with the story.
Well,
yep.
That may be a management decision. I don't know.
Yeah.
What they decided.
And that's one of my pet peeves, is like why they didn't show us more. And other people are kind of feeling that way too. It's not a spoiler thing. It really isn't, because they're even showing us less this year than previous ones. And we didn't say that they spoiled Final Shape, right? Did we think they did a good job with Final Shape?
I thought it was promoted pretty well.
Yeah. So they didn't overspoil anything, right? With Final Shape?
No, they gave us just enough where we got pissed or excited,
Well, why are they giving us less now this year?
I hope it's not the reason you're saying. I hope it's not because they don't have anything to show. I really am hoping, this is more of the Destiny shill in me. I'm really hoping that they just want us. It's Metrovania style. They don't want to tell us everything and lay it out in front of us where we are like, well,
everything that's taken it to extreme. But again, they're way less this year than previous ones. And people didn't say they spoiled previous years.
But if that trailer, Kingsley, is any indication of how different this expansion is going to be, maybe they're just really keeping tight-lipped on this. I hope, in a couple of weeks when we talk about this, I hope I'm right. I hope that's the reason why they didn't say much. I really do. But if it turns out we jump into this expansion and it's just a bunch of homework, I mean, I like homework, man. Don't get me wrong. I love doing my bounties and stuff every day, but even homework gets boring after a while. And especially if you don't tie a good reward to it, I'm not going to do it. It's not going to do it.
So, what they should have just done with the activity, just have a marketing page on Bungie's website, like in previous years, say like, and an exciting 3-person activity where you do this, this, and this, and then show us like a little 5-second snippet of it in the stream. I really trust Aster Cross, and he said there's for sure ways they could have shown it without spoiling anything to get us more excited.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that part. Yeah. I just, maybe it's just semantics. I don't know. Maybe there's just a gag order where no one can say anything about it. I don't know. All I know is in the past, they've told us so much in the reveals that I was like, well, geez, it's like those movies that are so shallow. They show you everything that happens in the movie in the preview, and you look at your wife and say, I just watched the movie. I don't need to go watch this movie.
Wait, you're contradicting yourself now. I just asked you, didn't they do a good job with Final Shape? They didn't overspoil it?
No, Final Shape.
Sorry,
I thought Final Shape was. I think it was promoted pretty well, and everyone was really excited for Final Shape. Everyone's been waiting. I mean, we waited through Lightfall to get to Final Shape.
Are you talking about?
But I'm talking about if they, with this brand new content that's coming out, if they just say, "Hey, listen, this is the world. This is what it looks like.
No.
This is the players."
You said they overshared previous years. You just said that right now.
Well, in some previous years they did. I think with Lightfall, I think they shared way too much. And of course we know why now, because they really didn't have anything else to show us and they had to get us excited. And they figured once we saw those neon cities in Neptune that we'd be all excited. Oh, this is something totally different. And we found out what that was. But I'm really just hoping that because this story is because it is the next iteration of Destiny 2, I really hope that they're just keeping mum on all this. They don't want to tell us too much.
You really think Lightfall, they showed us too much? That's interesting. I don't think you thought that.
I mean, I knew about, we knew about Surf Boy and all that before the expansion even dropped. We knew that Callus had a ship that he was moving into the Neptune area. We already saw that in the preview. There are a lot of things they showed us in the preview where we were like, oh, we already know what's going to happen here. Or at least we have an idea of what's going to happen. Well, you know what I love about this, Kingsley? I have no earthly idea where this story is going to go, and I love it. I love the fact that I know nothing going in.
I mean, in a train, and then there's a train, and I don't know.
That's all we know.
I think we're being unfair with Lightfall compared to.
Well, I mean, okay, Shadowkey. We can talk about that. We can talk about, Witch Queen. Look how much they promoted Witch Queen and told us a bunch of things about Witch Queen. And yes, the story was awesome, and the end was fantastic. Thank God they didn't spoil that.
They didn't spoil anything the previous years. Sorry, they didn't.
I don't know. I keep telling myself after I see promotions and reveals and stuff with the past Destiny content that I thought they shared too much. People were so hungry for new content that I think they were pressured into putting out way too much information. I like the fact that they're being cryptic here. I really do, man. I really do. And I hope I'm right. If I'm in 3 weeks, whatever.
Okay. So every year, except for Final Shape, they showed too much. If what you're saying is your opinion.
Well, Final Shape, we knew kind of what was going to happen there because the story led up to it, the portal and the Pale Heart and all that. It kind of led up to it. But I don't think they shared too much with Final Shape. I don't think they had to, man, because it was people were so excited about playing that game.
I feel like Final Shape, they shared the same amount as the previous years.
Maybe, but that still is a reason why I love that they're not saying too much in this time around. Maybe they learned their lesson from sharing too much in the past. I don't know, but we can go back and forth on that point. I don't want to beat a dead horse here.
Yeah,
but some other things that I wanted to mention here that my little ears picked up. Altar of Relativity is the new Kepler world vendor. You use these faded ciphers as currency. Of course, there's another cipher. And that's some kind of currency we got to use again on this world. I like that all you have to do for the day one raid is simply complete the Legend campaign, which I think HC Tech said he's gonna be a glutton for punishment and do it. I'm gonna do Legend. I've always done Legend with my initial account. My follow-up accounts maybe different just to get through the story, but I love the fact that all you have to do is play the Legend campaign and you'll be powerful enough to jump right into the day one raid. So that part I like. That was a highlight.
Well, yeah, I still do Legend the second time around, and often I will still get through it quicker than other people because the people that sometimes do Legend first, they're having such a hard time. If you do normal first and then do Legend's easier because you know what to expect.
Yeah, and I understand why you're telling people that, maybe haven't played a ton of Destiny, don't have 10 years under their belt, maybe to play the Brave version, because if you want to just get through the story and then unlock all the side missions and stuff afterwards, or then come back and play in Legend, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So
just because I'm doing normal first doesn't mean I'm not doing Legend afterwards.
No.
It's, and again, I still often get it through quicker than people that only just hop in Legend first.
Well, Legend probably gives you double chests, I'm guessing. Probably going to give you double rewards, which means you'll get double the loot, which means you'll get double the stuff to keep moving up in light, power, whatever you want to call it these days. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. What else did they say here? There's a lot of free roam areas that they talked about in the live stream, which didn't mean much to me because I couldn't get any context on where they were talking about other than Kepler. But like I said, they did say that there were going to be side missions talking about characters in the game. That's good. In higher world tier stuff, there is even more hidden stuff in quests. We mentioned that. Replayability. That's going to be that really is what it comes down to, right? How replayable is this going to be? I mean, we see the numbers hit a certain level on day one. Let's check it in a month and see where those numbers are. And we're going to know Bungie's going to know really quickly if this new system that they're putting in place and getting us all used to this new system and the tier weapon systems and the tier armor systems that we have to build right up all over again. Not have to, but they encourage you to with the new system. I'm wondering that solo ops and that fire team ops, I wonder that portal system that they're having. I wonder how replayable that's going to be. And now, if you remember back in the dev update articles, remember they said that they were going to make the environments and activities more reactive and more adapted to the players in the game?
That was the solo op. And that's another thing I'm disappointed about. They've not showed us anything. And I think because the streamers said the solo ops aren't so great and I've heard that they're not actually reactive. Yeah.
I heard that too. And like I said, I'm just going to experience it for myself. It'll be the first thing I jump into right after I complete Legend campaign. But, yeah, like I said,
I do think replayability, especially for people that like to grind stuff.
Yes.
I'm more hopeful now. I still stand by my prediction of like initial bump will be whatever, but 50 to 75%. But I think replayability may go down a little bit slower this time because of people that like to grind for weapons and the armor stuff. And for people that like that, I have to admit the portal system's good from what I can tell. And the fact that they're telling you exactly what you'll get and stuff like that.
Right.
It doesn't add replayability to me, but for people that like to grind, this will make you even more excited, I think, to grind. So that's good news for that.
Okay. Robbie Stevens did say in the live, I like this guy. He's the assistant game director. He said that all they were saying with Rise of Irons, it's about the same size amount of content, but they said it was going to be nothing like Rise of Iron. It was going to be a totally different game compared to Rise of Iron. So in my mind, I'm not even worried about the size of the content. I'm just worried about how engaged and how repeatable the activities are going to be, because that's really what it's going to come down to for me, man. And once we reach that 400 power or 450 power, what do we do from there? If there's nothing left to do, then I guess I'm going to go back to playing Claire Obscura, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah. Okay. Another highlight I had, the new activity they mentioned on Kepler that the only thing they mentioned was it is a cross between Vex Incursions and Wellspring, and that there'll be countdown timers like staves.
You don't want them to spoil too much.
Well,
I mean,
all they're saying is there's just going to be countdown timers like there is on Neptune. So if you want to get your fire team of 3,
they're showing us something.
Yeah,
sorry.
Well, they said that's all they said. They said it was just going to be a mix between those two activities, which it got my curiosity.
Well, I'm excited.
Okay.
Astrocross said it's one of the better or one of the best world activities he's played.
Oh, perfect.
And this isn't spoiling it because they even said it's kind of a cross between those two things. He agrees. It's like, think about like good elements from both of those activities. He wasn't spoiling anything either because he can't and he wouldn't want to anyways. But think of like the better elements from those two activities kind of combined together.
Right.
So that's good news. That's really good news.
Now, I had a question for you. I don't know if you heard this, but I was reading an article from PC Gamer, and they said that there was going to be a new horde mode mentioned, like Escalation Protocol. Did you hear anything about this?
Well, that's part of this. See, I try everything I can to find out more little tidbits. Even
so, this is the activity that we're talking about.
Supposedly, now I'm always skeptical because Destiny said that Onslaught was going to be horde mode, and it truly isn't horde mode either. Mm-hmm. But there is horde mode elements supposedly in this activity. So yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I like it. Okay. Let's see. Another thing I had, daily focus tab with daily and weekly missions that reward bright dust also. And there's a reward track also as well, where you can actually earn materials. I think he said, two sets of armor, 2 pieces of armor and 2 weapons per week. That's pretty good. I like that.
What was that, like 10 things? I think a weekly reward track. 10. It looked like about 10 slots, right?
Yeah, and all the guy mentioned it was, I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. I know he's a cool dude. He's been there a long time. He was the guy sitting in the middle on the sofa. He said you'll get 2 pieces of armor, and two new weapons in this reward track. So that's all they said. So that had me interested. And
they showed a picture.
Yeah, they did. They did show a picture of it. Yeah. So anyway, that got my ears perked up. But here's the thing that I don't know if you heard this. I don't know if you caught this, but they mentioned there was a base raid and then an expanded raid. I'm thinking, are we going back to a Leviathan structure again? Are raid layers going to be coming back, you think?
No, we already knew that. We already knew this. It's for the second update for Ash and Iron. They're making a harder version of the raid.
Okay. All right.
And on the harder version of the raid, they will be changing up some minor things in the raid. Don't think of Leviathan like whole new like new raids and stuff that they're adding on to it. I mean, maybe, but from what I read in the past and from what they confirmed in this one, we have, of course, we're going to have contest mode and we're going to have a normal and a hard version, but they are going to make like a different hard version for the next update, Ash and Iron, that will add new the wording. We can look it up in a twid somewhere. It'll be like, from what I remember, the wording was like new triumphs, challenges.
Okay.
And I think something like slight mechanic changes or something, but it's not going to be like, we have a new mini raid added on or something like that. I really don't think it's
I really started thinking raid layers, man. I was getting excited. I was like, damn, I love Leviathan. And all the raid layers, they'd have a prestige mode and the regular modes, and the prestige mode had extra things you had to do in order to progress the mechanic. Man, I remember that. I miss those days. Anyway.
So let me so we're on that topic. The layout for the year is raid for the first, there's 4 parts to the year. Raid for the first part, raid harder mode update for the second part.
Right. Third
part's going to be dungeon. And then fourth part, they told us this year it's going to be variable every year, but this year they're going to do another Pantheon style thing.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. That sounds good. All right. Those are the highlights that I pulled out of this live stream that I wrote down as I was listening to it. I just had a sticky note next to me and I just started cranking stuff out. But of course, there's always going to be some stuff that I didn't like. The first thing I didn't like is they showed the portal, but not really anything beyond that. I'm still wondering what the solo ops will bring. I mean, but I'm going to just jump into it after completing the Legend campaign and just find out, I guess. Is it going to be lost sectors? Is it going to be, they talked about how they can swap out the modifiers and make it harder, which means you get higher tier gear and loot. And I understand all that.
You don't want them to show you too much stuff. And now you're saying
but at least they could have, all they showed was the portal, all the UI. They didn't show the one person jumping into an activity and just to see what it was like. But I'm fine with that. But I didn't like that they didn't share anything other than just the initial UI. And they did jump in with the fire team one to jump into an activity or something, I guess. But the second thing I didn't like, and then I'll turn to you, see if there's any more you want to add here. They didn't really share much with Kepler other than some free roam areas, which, I kind of like that they're keeping things a mystery. Maybe this is tying into the new game style here, the new theme of Metroidvania, finding hidden areas and stuff. But I wanted to know how to upgrade my gear and weapons, and now I know how to grind it out for the next month. So they did share that, but they didn't really share anything about Kepler. I mean, they kept us to one small room. I know I'm going against myself. I know I hear myself doing it, but they only showed old activities in these portal UIs and no mention of a new strike. Obviously no Crucible maps. I mean, we're kidding ourselves if we think they're going to put any more time on Crucible. We're not getting any strikes
either.
You don't think so?
I'll tell you that.
But that was the two things I did not like out of this that I kind of left me a little empty after the live stream. So is there anything else you want to mention, you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'll add on to that. It's funny, those two things I was not as upset about. Again, like I said a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that I was surprised how impressed I was with the portal system. Again, not like I'm going to be grinding it a lot, but just when I am in it, I think they did an excellent job with everything in the portal. Now, as far as the content that's in the portal, that's not the fault of the portal. That's just them maybe not having enough content. And then I actually am okay, again, back on the thing I was complaining about earlier. I don't want them to show too much of Kepler. I don't want that.
Okay.
I just want them to show a little teeny bit of Kepler, which they did,
Just tease it.
and all the big things. And the activity is a big thing. That's a selling point to sell copies of the game.
Okay.
And they didn't really do much with that. But I was fine. I don't want them showing a lot of Kepler. I think they showed the perfect amount of Kepler. They shouldn't have showed more.
Okay. Good enough. Well, like
and JD Kent says, yeah, these solo ops, from what we've seen and heard, they're technically not usually lost sectors. What they are, because I saw one of them was at the salt mines area, and they even said wording in previous twids about this. They are taking us to locations that we don't normally go to, either because they're blocked off, you can't get to them unless you're in a campaign mission, or we just don't have any reason to go to that area on the map. Right. But they may be, but that's the actual locations. When we're actually in there, what will it be? I don't know. The streamers weren't allowed to tell us yet. They said it wasn't great. Bungie doesn't want to show us yet. They had hinted in the past that they will have some enemy variability. I hope they're still doing that. Because if they can knock it out of the park with these solo ops, that can be a huge, think about this. What if the game, this is what I'm worried about. What if it's really good in Kepler, really good for all the matchmade activities? What if the solo op stuff sucks? You know what I mean?
Could be.
Then the solo players won't be so happy still, because they're going to get bored of doing the solo things. And then they just know the better things are the 3-person matchmade activity in Kepler. The better things are the nightmare hunts, all these things to level you up. And I really hope they're not dropping the ball on the solo op stuff.
Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of guests on the show in the past year. And the one thing I'm getting from most of our players that we talk and interview with them is that they like to do stuff solo. They like to grind stuff out solo because, they have an hour to spare, but they don't have 2 hours to spare to jump into a raid and be dependent on 5 other people to make sure they're there and not to leave early. And you hear about all the nightmares. I mean, all our raids are awesome because we have great people and people really help each other out. But sometimes it takes more than a couple hours to get through a raid, especially if you have a couple people in there that have never done it before. But it is so nice, and I guarantee this is what I'll be doing. As soon as the legendary campaign's done, I'll jump in every morning. You'll see me playing Destiny 2 in the morning before I go to work, and I'll be jumping in that portal system in solo ops just to see what I can grind out and what gear I can get. And I'll say, okay, great. There's a chest piece I like. It's got good stats and stuff, and it's tier 3. Heck yeah, I like it. And then I'll go to work. And then when I come back at night, I'll work on building some more stuff and adding some more stuff to my character. But I love that we're going to be really build crafting all over again with some new systems in place, a little bit of tweaks here as well. So, I don't know. I feel like the community right now is very divided. There's people on one side that are like recycled content. Bungie is don't pre-order. It's all they don't have anything to show us because there is nothing. It's going to be the biggest ripoff ever. And then we have people on the other side, I guess, kind of like me, that are more like, hey, they just showed us an awesome trailer. They just showed an awesome, interesting story. I'm willing to give, I'm going to invest the money. I've already pre-ordered the game. I got all my Star Wars gear. Yeah. I'm going to jump in and see what Bungie's got, and I'll probably be one of those players where they finally shut off all the servers and I'll be like, oh, I guess that's that. But I know there's a lot of people out there who are very mixed right now about whether they should pre-order or whatever. And I think Astrocross even said this today when he was live streaming all this on doing the TWAB is, if you're not sure, just buy the $40 thing. Just get the $40 thing. And if you don't like it, it was $40. No skin off your back. He says you don't have to invest the $100 or what is it, 80, 85? I can't remember what I paid for all the seasons included and all that stuff. But
it's 80, but there's a $100 version for the extra cosmetics. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got you. Okay. I don't remember which one I got, but I did buy. I always pre-buy all the seasons and stuff, so I don't have to be nickel and dime through the year. I just want to get the stuff and just play it through the year, And if it sucks, it sucks. All games are that way. Sorry to hate to tell you, but some games suck. Some games aren't very good.
Well, that's why I don't even think telling people to, if Bungie hasn't shown enough to get more people on board, which they haven't with pre-orders yet, only the more diehard people are doing it. It's okay to wait till it actually comes out. I wouldn't even say order the $40 one if you're not sure. Wait until the reviews come out. You hear from the community, it's hop on in, it's good. All that stuff.
Wait for, what's his name? He's a very good, he's a big fan of Destiny. The Australian content creator. What am I blanking right now? He's big. He does the weekly, I'm sorry. I can't remember his name.
It doesn't even matter. The best way is not even just one person.
Yeah.
Listen to multiple people.
Right.
Look at the ratings and talk to the community. The reason why I think all three are important, if you're not sure, is because different areas have different things. For example, our community may be more Bungie shills.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's a good thing too. Some certain streamers may be not fair that way. That's why you need to listen to multiple reviews. And then also look at I think you should give this the least amount of credit, but it's still some credit.
Yeah.
Look at the user reviews, like within a couple of days after it comes out, and see what the rating is. And if 2 or more of those areas are low, then that might be your answer. If 2 or more are high, or even if one's high, but that's the most important to you. But as always, don't just look at one source. You go to a doctor, you're not sure if they gave you good advice. Go to another doctor.
Yeah, give a second opinion.
The more reviewers you listen to on YouTube, the more you talk to the community, all these things will give you a better idea of kind of what's going on. And again, I don't even just mean listen to 10 YouTubers and be done with that. You got to listen to the streamers and the community and the users. You kind of got to do all three.
I agree with that. Skill Up. Thank you, JD Kent. I've watched Skill Up for a long time. He does the best game reviews because he puts a lot. I do audio and video editing. I know how much work he puts into these videos that are like an hour long. It's craziness, but I being that he is not a Destiny hater, he at least gives Destiny 2 a fair shake. But he'll also be real blunt if it's not, he hasn't been playing Destiny in a long time now. So I value his opinion, but there's, you mentioned Mr. Raffle Waffles. He's moved over into a Destiny content creator. I used to follow him during Call of Duty Zombies. He actually did some Battlefield stuff too back in the day. I love his content. He always does really good stuff too, but, and he's British. He's not Australian. Fluffy, and to call you out there. But, that's, and the question, JD Ken has, how is Fireteam Finder going to work with the portal? How do you agree with the buffs and debuffs with randoms? Well, they have preset stuff for a lot of the Fireteam match-made stuff. That's how that fixes that problem. So it'll be like content today. You'll already have preset buffs and stuff to go for you. So yeah, I'm just giving you shit, Fluffy.
One thing I'll say, and I don't think this is going to be a bomb update. I just don't think there'll be tons of content necessarily, but let's say for sake of argument that it is a bomb update, which I really don't think it will be. I'm definitely think it'll be a good update. I just hope people don't say, well, and they start making excuses. Well, it wasn't a good one because the next one's going to be good. You can't just use that excuse every time people. Okay. That's always pushing the ball down the road.
I'm always hopeful that Bungie is going to see their way. But I mean, they've lost so many of the original staff at Bungie that you kind of wonder, do they have a pulse on what the players really want? And from what we've heard, it was the upper management that had that issue. They weren't listening to their employees and to the other devs around the studio as far as what we were giving them feedback for, and probably the reason why, they've lost some players. Tajo Trade says, unless the people who are upset decide to review bomb the game, so really read through the comments with an open mind and be on the lookout for blatant bias. Everyone's going to have their bias. It's really hard to be totally 100% objective when you're reviewing something because you are going to have your biases. That's just human nature. But I trust Skill Up because he does seem to give Destiny a fair crack. And if he doesn't like it, he'll mention it. He'll say it because he's said it in the past.
Yeah, and that's why you need to go to a lot of sources. Like I think also a lot of times people over say that user reviews are being review bombed if they don't agree with the user's opinions. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's definitely a data point to take into consideration for sure. But yeah, I wouldn't go by just user reviews. But if user reviews are good, and then like professional reviews are good, I'm like, okay, then I pretty much have the answer. That's exactly, and we'll talk about this more.
Yep.
The second Claire Obscure started coming out, user reviews, professional reviews, and community reviews were all three topping the charts. Yeah, and a game's going to be good if everyone says it's good.
Yeah. My buddy Warcry in the Discord chat says, I pre-ordered a while back because this is the only game I play. And here's the great thing, Jeff, is you can fully level up now in Crucible where you couldn't in the past. You can fully level up just by playing Crucible. And I know that's all you like to play. I don't even know if you finished the final shape mission. You better have turkey because that is such a good story, man. You don't want to miss that. But yeah, you can
if you're
play.
If you're Crucible, what are you leveling up for? If you would never go into like a
make
raid?
Number go up, as Dan Finity would say.
Yeah.
Make number go up. That's what people like. That's that dopamine hit. Now I'm 50. Now I'm 50 power. All right, good. Let's shoot for 60 now. It's just that's just part of gamers.
A lot of people, maybe not everyone.
You're exactly right. So, all right. Well, one thing I want to mention before we move on to the TWAB.
Trials.
That's
Thank
true.
You, Tajo.
That's true. Trials and possible. Well, of course, the higher content if they want to play. Well, if they're playing Crucible, then Trials is the higher end content. But another thing with Ash and Iron that I'm excited about, which will be sometime in September, I think. They're going to have a revamped Iron Banner. I'm really hoping they don't drop the ball on this because I love playing Iron Banner. So fingers crossed. I really hope that Ash and Iron really lives up to its Iron name. Yeah, I know you like to see the number go up, Jeff. I know you do, man. One thing I wanted to mention before we got onto the TWAB, and we're going to try to breeze through it pretty quick, is I just want to catch up a little bit this week. I wanted to mention first our little gentlemanly wager that we have going. And we just started talking in the DMs one night. And you kind of threw out a challenge, and I'm like, okay, you're throwing me a challenge. I'm going to throw a challenge back your way. So our little gentlemanly wager is that I am going to play the entire story of Clair Obscura Expedition 33, just to let you know that I am a third of the way through it already. I've been playing it for several nights now.
Wow.
I'm playing it through the PC Game Pass, which I bought, and I'm trying it out to see if I like Game Pass or not. And by the way, Microsoft just laid off 9,000 people in their gaming division. So that was
no, that wasn't just gaming.
Is that across the board? But you know what? I heard High Moon Studios, a lot of these great studios got people were impacted from this. It really sucks.
It sucks, yeah.
But not to change topics, but so I'm a third of the way through it. And basically the gentlemanly wager, and it's a friendly wager, is who's going to get through it first. I have to get through the story of Expedition 33, but Kingsley, what do you have to do?
I have to finish both seasons of Andor all the way.
Yeah.
So, you want to know where I'm at?
Yeah, I want to know.
I'm one episode away from finishing season 1.
What? You turkey. Dadgummit. Well, just everyone's saying, well, geez, that's not even a fair bet. It actually is not too bad because I've heard about 35 hours of what you need to complete the story, and I'm not rushing through it. I'm
I told Todd you don't need to do the side missions.
I know,
just
but
the main campaign.
I do anyway. But I was actually live streaming it in the Discord last night. I couldn't go to bed. I picked my wife up from the airport last night. She got back from a teacher convention, and I was still wired from having to take some caffeine so I could drive to the airport and back at 1 a.m. But
do you want to give initial impressions on both of our sides now that we've done a little bit?
Yeah. What do you? You've seen you're one away from season 1. I know where you're at now. Okay, so what do you think about season 1 of Andor?
So I'll try to be honest, but also like I can be honest with also making everyone happy. Okay, it's definitely a little better for sure. Now I like. The only part that I like that's not direct Empire stuff. Now, it is direct Empire, but you're not really seeing like inside their bases or the IDF or the ships or things like that. Or
just wait.
Okay. One thing that I really loved was just wait till Destiny's better.
Kick that can down the road. Kick that can down the road. It'll get better. It'll get better.
But anyways, you know what I really liked was when they're doing this, it shows you what I'm looking for. Like when they're doing the break in they're stealing the stuff in the dam area. I forget what that's called. And
you're talking about the heist?
The heist.
The payroll?
And the payroll. And then at the very last second, the Empire guys, they're starting to get in the TIE fighters, right?
Yeah.
And like, finally some action. You know what I mean? Not that there isn't action, but finally some cool stuff. And then of course, whenever they go in the command rooms, like that's really cool too. Like they took over, and then I was going to say the next best part that I liked was that they did break out of the prison.
Yes, that was I love that episode.
And the command room area was cool, and that whole thing. You know what's funny? When we're not doing Empire stuff, you know what my favorite's been so far?
What?
Is the other prison stuff.
Isn't it amazing how organized their prisons are? And you're building building parts for the Death Star. I mean, come on, man. It's the coolest thing. I know. It is so cool.
So definitely, I will be honest and fair. It is better. Now, I still am true to my point. Like, this show isn't exactly what I want, but it is a good show. It is a really good show for sure. I wish they had so much more in a different area, but it is a good show. I have to admit. Okay. And then what do you think so far or if you want to ask me any other questions?
No. But, I'm actually in the old fort area, and I was asking you today. Somehow I've gotten stuck in this fort area, and I can't find the
you mean like fort battleground area?
Well, they're going to. I don't want to spoil it, but they're going to bury. What's his name?
Well, what does it look like?
It's like it looks like an old medieval fort with big medieval doors.
I think that is called the battleground area. Is it called the fort area? Or?
It just says something fort, but that's where I'm stuck right now because I've gone everywhere in that area, back and forth, and I can't seem to find a way out. And but yeah, it's all right. Let me just. I'm just going to pull the Wikipedia up here so I know the names of stuff. But I have played probably about I want to say 8 hours total of game time here. So I love the graphics. My God, man, my computer. I have a 4080. I think it was a ninth gen chip and stuff. I mean, I got a pretty high level PC. It's pretty powerful, and it was singing over here, running it at 4K and I think 138 frames or something. I can't remember. But I really, at first, I was kind of like, it's okay. You know, I'm moving around. But once I started learning how to parry and dodge, it's a whole other level of game. And the story, my God, the story. There's a whole prologue. It's like a movie where you actually go around and meet all the characters that end up dying, but most of them anyway. The prologue was fantastic. The storyline, I love how they set up the story. The music, of course. And my wife even came in today and goes, "Oh man, that is some really pretty music." I was like, "Yeah, this is a new game I'm trying out." But the turn-based system, it brings me right back to Dynasty Warriors Tactics when I used to play that. What's up, Jared Ward? So yeah, I mean, I'm really loving the combat, and the story's just icing on the cake for me. But I'm stuck right now in this fort area, and that's driving me crazy because I've been able to figure out how to get through otherwise, you know. But
we could talk afterwards for another time.
Maybe someone can DM me if they got stuck in that same area. But I can't get past the gates. I've tried climbing walls. I just having a problem. I'm stuck in this old fort area, and I guess they're trying to bury Gustav. Gustav dies. Spoiler alert. The game's been out for 2 months.
You actually said it?
Yeah, Gustav actually died.
Big spoiler.
He's obliterated, man, by this enemy that you don't even see coming. And they have this spot that they're going to bury him. I'm like, no, I don't want to go bury this dude. Let's go on. I want to fight the next thing. Let's go. But no, there's another character that's introduced that goes and says there's a perfect place to bury him. So that's where I'm at. I'm at this fort area where they were supposedly supposed to bury Gustav near 2 trees or something, and I'm looking everywhere, man. There's dark areas around the map and stuff, but overall, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the game. I'm kind of glad that we had this wager because that's kind of what it takes to get me to play a new game. But I'm really enjoying it, man. I really am. It's a lot of fun. Cool. I said, I've got about 8 hours in. I'm about a third of the way through it. So I figured it's probably going to take probably 30 something hours to complete this story. But, I'm enjoying it. Well,
yeah, it's funny too. Cause I think at first I was just like, well, if you just finish the game in general, then I'll finish Andor, I promise. But then now it was even fun. Like, ooh, who can finish first, you know?
Hey, take care, microscientist. I know you got to take care of your kids, man. No worries, man. Thanks for joining us tonight in the Discord. Yeah. So, like I said, according to I'm not going to spoil anymore. According to our little gentlemanly wager, sounds like we're both trucking right along. So, yeah, we'll see how it turns out. We'll have to report later. So, I mean, we got a couple weeks here, right? A little bit of downtime. I'm stacking a few bounties, getting ready, but other than that, I'm not really playing much Destiny right now. But
and I'm going to be out of town next week.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll have to see if someone wants to sit in next week, which it'll probably be just like a recap or something. I don't know. We'll have to see what Bungie's going to release next week. As far as that goes, I think they're going to talk about some activities coming up for Bungie Day, but we'll just have to see. I did want to mention one thing. I'm watching a new comedy series on Apple TV called Stick. It's starring Owen Wilson and Mark Maron. It's not bad. It's about a kind of a has-been pro golfer who really did well and blew up and left. And he finds this kid who's really talented and is trying to get him ready for the U.S. Open. And I know that's a played out kind of storyline, but I think it's pretty well written. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. Other than that, it's my usual shows and stuff. My wife was out of town last week, so no movies this week, but we are going to see January 5th, Saturday, we're going to go see Jurassic World Rebirth. And then the following day on Sunday, I'm going out with my whole family. We're going to go out and get dinner afterwards. We're going to go see F1. So I'm really looking forward to that movie as well. So that's it for me this week. Anything you want to mention before we get on to the Twab here, Kingsley?
Yeah, I feel like there was, but yeah, of course, a lot of it was just Andor. I mean, done some raids with people. Right. Sorry, I don't have all the shout outs right now, but always good people in the community to play with.
Oh, that's right. We played with Tajo. We took Tajo through his first Deepstone Crypt raid this last week.
Right. Yes. Tajo. We'll at least mention that one. And again, it was awesome having Tajo on last week. If you're only listening to this episode, go back and listen to the last one too. Heck, listen to all the episodes if you have time.
We have 300 and something of them.
Right. Well, I mean, one small thing, I told you about this too. I'm hoping it's not going to affect me too much, but I've noticed over the years that I've been getting some issues with pain and not mobility in my index fingers.
Oh, that's right.
And things have gotten worse over time. And at the very beginning, I thought it was just an injury, but then it just never got better. And then what would happen is I'd have like flare-ups that would like hurt really bad for like a few days to a few weeks, but then it would totally go away as far as pain, but the mobility is still a little messed up. So I thought it was gout for sure, like the research I did. And I almost was hoping it was that because even though gout can't be cured, if you're on a medication, it can bring some mobility back and help with the pain. Well, I went to the doctor and unfortunately it's just regular old osteoarthritis, which older people get. I don't have it anywhere else in my body except for my index fingers.
Yep.
So I do want to, I'm being real here. This is probably the realest I've ever been on the podcast. I don't know how I ultimately feel about everything. And this isn't going to affect everyone the same way too. But I do want to say, if you're getting a little bit older and if you're feeling any kind of pain in your fingers, especially if you play on controller, your trigger fingers, look into that sooner rather than later. Because if you're going to get some form of arthritis, it's not like you can stop it. But I didn't want to have my index fingers slightly arthritic in my 40s. Everyone knows I'm in my 40s. So, or at least we've talked about in the past. Usually you would think arthritis happens 50s, 60s, 70s, you know what I mean? Something kind of like those ages.
Oh, yeah.
And I was pretty bummed for a while. I was like, oh, did I cause this on myself early? I mean, it's really the only indication I kind of did. So maybe make sure you hold your controllers lighter. Don't use as much pressure. I'm kind of past the being bummed out. It's not like I can't game, but I'm kind of asking myself now, do I want to gain 25% less? You know what I mean? I don't like increase the progression of things. It was nice talking to you, Todd, in DMs. I mean, there's obviously options. I can do like claw-based controller systems. I can just use less pressure.
Use modded controllers. Use paddles.
I can game less. There's all sorts of options, but it was a little bit bummed to hear that and bummed out. And I don't know why I'm talking about it in front of the whole community, but I am. So
no, I appreciate you sharing that, man, because I know we talked about that in depth. We DM'd about it, and I really didn't have anything to tell you other than it's just wear and tear, man. Osteoarthritis is just wear and tear arthritis. And I will tell you this, I've done a lot of research on arthritis because I do have it. I got it in my back. I've got it in my neck. I've got it in my knees. Sounds like popcorn when I get up and walk sometimes. And my hip. I have arthritis on my hip. Yeah, I know. I'm just an old fart. But the biggest thing I've been told, and I've done a lot of research on this, you got to stay moving. Sitting is the new smoking. You can't just sit all the time as I sit here doing a podcast for 2 hours, but you have to create a new routine in your life where you're stretching every morning, you're getting the ligaments stretched. And I tell you, the biggest thing for me that's helped with my arthritis, just telling you, and everyone else out there that's dealing with arthritis, I go to the gym. Building up your ligaments and your muscles that support these bones that have arthritis make a big difference. And you can really offset a lot of osteoarthritis just by not getting jacked, but just getting strong and flexible. And that's all I'm worried about doing when I go to the gym. I don't want to be jacked. I don't want to have freaking shoulders to here. I really don't. No offense to people who want to do that, but I just want to be lean and I want to be flexible and I want to have good balance. And that's really that's really all you can hope for going into, well, now I'm going into my 50s. So, taking that journey. So yeah.
Oh, that's definitely true. But also in the fingers, it can be a little bit different too. Like you want to stay movement, but you don't want the repetitive same type of movements. And that's how I caused my trigger finger.
I'll tell you this. This is my bowling finger. I know you can't see it very well, but it's not supposed to, this one. It's not, see how that tip of my finger, this finger right here is curving to the wrong way. That's osteoarthritis. And that is from throwing a bowling ball for 30, 40 years. And I'll be honest, I don't have any pain. It is a little stiff, a little bit less mobility, but I still bowl every week and it doesn't affect my fingers. So I don't know if that's encouragement. I don't know, Kingsley, but I just keep going. But yeah. I think if you don't use it, then your joints and stuff, your ligaments and stuff start to get weaker and you got to still use it, man, or you lose it.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So like, I think the thing is like, make sure you're not, if you care, I mean, there's nothing you can do ultimately. If you're prone to osteoarthritis, you're going to get it no matter what at some point. But like, I would have loved to like and I think I do click kind of hard and kind of fast when I'm doing triggering and R2s and everything like that. And so, and it actually happened in my right hand first because, the R2, the shooting, but then slowly over the time, my left index finger has been getting it too. And I really do think I use too much pressure when I'm pushing down. And if I would have learned earlier, that's why I'm just trying to tell this to other people too. Obviously, and everyone's going to use their fingers. That's easier than other, things in your body. But like, try not to over accentuate repetitive movements, the same things too much when you're doing your controller. Don't hold it too tightly. Don't, click too hard because otherwise by the time you're 40-ish, I'm in my mid upper 40s right now. It could happen to you too, potentially. And, again, there's nothing you can do and I'm still going to game, don't worry. But I'm just saying, the funny thing too is like my right finger that is more progressed and not as mobile. I don't really have the pain in there as much too. So maybe it just does get to a point where like kind of like locks up more and gets bent and then you don't get the pain as much.
Yeah.
But, I still don't want it to happen to other fingers. I don't want it to, so I'm still trying to be careful and taper my controller craziness a little bit.
Do you, I'm curious, do you pop your knuckles?
No.
See, I always pop my knuckles ever since I was little.
I did when I was young. Yeah. But I just didn't have the desire when I got older. Yeah.
Maybe it's a nervous tick or maybe it's, I start feeling a little bit of stiffness or pain. I'll pop a knuckle and it's fine. And popping knuckles, all it does is an air gap there between your joints.
Oh, I know. It's not bad.
You're not really hurting your joints, but I've always popped my knuckles. So maybe that's why my grip is still really strong. And anyway, the old man corner here. All right, let's move on. Thanks for sharing it though, man. I appreciate you sharing that.
Sorry, I just brought that up.
I didn't know you were going to talk about that tonight. It cut me off guard.
Yeah.
But all right, that means it's time for This Week in Bungie. No, that means it's time for This Week at Bungie.
Hey folks, Laz here with GDC Today. Do you have some litigation that you need stamped? Maybe some signatures, some I's dotted, some T's crossed? Well, we don't do that here. We just do some random chit-chat and all that. And you're listening to Guardian Downcast.
All right, This Week in Destiny for July 3rd, 2025. This Week in Destiny, we have more details to share from the Edge of Fate. We're getting closer and closer to July 15th. So today we are talking about the incoming weapons tuning, as well as some economy changes. And let's not forget about the developer stream from Tuesday, which we already talked about. The gear tiering dev insight article from yesterday. Did you want to talk about that, Kingsley? We can mention that if you want to, the dev article. I have it pulled up as well if you want to go to it.
Yeah, do you want it now?
Yeah, we can do that. Let me just pull it up here.
All right.
We'll talk about this. What this dev article does, it just kind of gives everyone a little bit of understanding of how the weapons are going to be changing for the weapons and gear tiering. And Kingsley, I'm just going to throw it to you, man, because I know you'll whip through it quickly.
Yes. This was a really good article of, I feel like when they write a dev update, they generally do a really good job of kind of summarizing things. And there's a lot of people in the Discord that said, yeah, this did a good job. So they wanted to accomplish their goals to make Loot Chase more meaningful. In gear tiering aims to provide new buildcraft options, particularly with also armor set bonuses, which they've talked about in the past, and seasonal weapon mods, and for each gear tier to provide new mechanical benefit. So new drops will present more and direct upgrades to your arsenal. So they just kind of wanted to go over some details of how this would all work. They say the chase to upgrade your arsenal will endure throughout the season as players pursue higher powered tier and enhance perks and benefits and all the things. But they wanted to let us know that they wanted the final tier for the weapons to feel prestigious. So again, don't expect that we should all be deserving of tier 5. You might have to do some pretty hard stuff to get tier 5. So they kind of did a really good breakdown. We've put stuff in the Discord before of what it all means, but they did another almost better job of explaining it. So I can go through this pretty quick.
Okay.
What the tiers mean is tier 1 is basically a base weapon. But you can, of course, use the new seasonal mod. So you're not really losing out anything there. Tier 1 still perfectly great. You're getting started. You don't need to feel bad about it. It's a really good weapon. It's not like the weapon is nerfed at all. It's just you're not getting the extra buffs, small enhancements that higher tiers will have. So remember that tier 1 base weapon, and of course you can use the seasonal mods once you acquire them. Tier 2, same thing, but adds enhanced traits. So we know enhanced means you get small little bumps on certain things.
That's that's where right now you pay. It's the reason why I don't have any enhancement cores, because I've been dumping them into these weapons so I can enhance the traits on them. So what you're saying is they're already going to be enhanced in tier 2. 2 of them anyway.
That's what it seems like. Yes.
Okay.
And that's good news for that, because again, you're getting a better weapon, right. And it looks, they show pictures too, by the way. And
I'll get on this.
Tier 2.
Yeah, well.
Is it shows 2 of the traits are enhanced, right. The things there. Okay. Yep. I'm going to go back and forth because then I'll read the middle part. Tier 3 gives everything from the previous, but it also drops with 2 traits per column. Okay. So, tier 3 isn't that much more than tier 2, but it can be a big deal because you'll get 2 traits per column of enhanced traits. So think about if you were to get a really good drop that had two really good, you could switch between those perks. That could be almost a god roll right there, even on tier 3. Now, of course, there's RNG for these drops, but you at least, it's with everything we know about the portal system, we can focus within specific weapons or types of weapons and things very well. And we can even focus within different tiers. So while the actual drops will be RNG, we can say like, I'm going for a tier 3 auto rifle. Even at some point, it'll tell you the specific weapon depending.
Yeah, I'm showing the pictures of it as you're talking about it to the chat.
This could be really cool at tier 3, especially again, if you have, the 2 options of perks. If they're really good, then you don't even have to have 2 crafted weapons because you can just swap between the perks right there.
Don't have to pay for any of it. I love this. This part I do like.
Yeah. And then tier 4 adds on enhanced weapon mods. So the mods we already have from tier 1, but enhanced weapon mods. So again, small bump there. And then it also adds on enhanced weapon components like the barrels and the magazines. So that's kind of a fun new thing, right? The first 2 columns there, you have enhancements. For those.
I see this enhanced mod, enhanced counter. I see this. Okay. I didn't know about this. Enhanced. Okay. Yeah. I like it.
See how good of a job they finally did with this one?
Yeah. This is what they should have done the first stream when they talked about the tier gear. All right.
Yep.
I didn't even know they had enhanced mods. So this unlocks on 4, you're saying. Okay.
That's for tier 4. Enhanced mods and enhanced weapon components like the barrels and the magazines.
Right. Gotcha. I'm looking at that right now. Okay.
So tier 4 is pretty darn good too.
And you get a masterwork either handling or whatever, just like we do now.
Well, that's a separate thing either way.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the tiers first.
Gotcha.
And then tier 5 adds on an enhanced origin trait. So you go to that end part if you want to show that.
Yep,
and then also 3 traits per column. So even more. So imagine you get, this even has a better chance of having a god roll win 1 weapon. So you don't have to have multiple copies. So if you got a really good tier 5 with 3 different options to pick in those columns, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and you have the enhanced, go ahead.
Sorry, JD Ken had a question about this as we were talking. He goes, what if, if all the tier 5 guns you have terrible rolls, do you do super hard content and have unlucky RNG? Nobody likes weapon crafting. Like what I said, predetermined gear that you can create yourself. And so it's all RNG now. But think about it, though. You got 6 different traits here. What's the odds you're not going to get at least a couple of them that work that you can toggle to? I say the odds are definitely less.
This is still, again, focused RNG, where better focused than ever before. Okay. Everyone who likes RNG always agrees there should be focusing, and Bungie's done okay jobs with it in the past, but this is going to be, with the portal system, the best focusing we've had yet in the game.
True.
So, that could happen on tier 1 also, of course, if you still, since it's RNG, it may not be the perks you want.
Yeah.
But, remember when we were in the Nether this last season, it was, especially when we did the harder mode, it was just raining weapons. And of course, not a lot of people cared about all the seasonal weapons, but let's say we're doing some activity now and we're doing it on hard enough. We're at tier 3 or maybe tier 4. We don't want to go crazy. And it's raining weapons. I just think my prediction is, even though this is RNG based, I really think they're going to be dropping loot on us like crazy this time around.
Good. Hope so.
That's my prediction.
Okay.
And then one other thing on tier 5, don't you forget, some people like this. You get access to a unique ornament with a unique shader and, of course, the unique combat flare. So all that fun stuff there. Yep.
I'm not a fan of light blue, but I do like the visual on it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the masterworking. So what's going on with masterworking is when fully masterworked, weapons will also receive a bonus to all stats equal to the tier of the weapon. That's really interesting. So a tier 5 weapon, if you masterwork it, has a +5 stats across the board on top of the masterwork +10.
Okay.
So you get the masterwork perk of +10, and then you get +5 stats across the board.
Okay.
But if you were to do it on a tier 1 weapon, you would only have a +1 stats across the board.
Right. Okay.
Now, does that mean 5 on each perk? Or
no, remember they assigned. Oh, this is armor. This is armor. I remember that armor. They said they assign it to the 3.
Yeah, I'm talking about weapons right now.
Weapons. But, I'm not sure. Not really sure.
All right. Now, when they talk about the seasonal mods, I like the seasonal mods. It's just another thing to add on to weapons. They change the way you play within a season, offering new opportunities for build crafting. You got the enhanced mods, like the adept mods before them, which will provide just a little extra boost. And enhanced origin traits, back to that tier 5 one, will boost the effect a bit more than an enhanced trait. So this is a summarization here. So providing an extra area on top if you have a tier 5 weapon.
Okay.
And then, I don't know if we have to go through all the details again, but all the little unique combat flare things, like you can have like the sweaty confetti or blue flames erupting from your gun. And, there's just a little cherry on top too. Like Tajo said, +5 onto each. So that's pretty good if you're a tier 5.
Okay.
They talked about real quick. We're not, we can, if you want to talk about this, some of the new seasonal mods, temporal load. I'll just list the names, but I'll tell you what I'm excited about.
I got them on screen.
Temporal loader, weapon loads ammo from reserves when dealing damage to targets that are slowed, frozen, or suspended. So pretty, I don't know. They just have to be slowed, frozen, or suspended. Temporal tracker, gain bonus aim assist or projectile tracking for a moderate duration after picking up orb of power. Okay, you have to pick up orb of power. Some people may really like these, but I'm just giving my opinion. Temporal Adepter, readying this weapon grants it bonus stability, handling, and reload speed for a moderate duration that is borrowed from an alternative timeline version of the weapon. Swords gain bonus charge rate and guard resistance. So this one's looking pretty good. It's kind of like a neutral game thing, but it's really good in my opinion.
All right.
And then these next 2 ones are really good. Temporal Armaments, this weapon gains bonus damage against Cabal and Vex, and we know that there will be a lot of Vex in this game.
Yep.
We don't know about Cabal. We're assuming. We know there's going to be a lot of Fallen also. Sorry. When I say game, I meant the new DLC update.
Right.
And then Temporal Blast. This weapon stores a portion of its damage dealt into charges. A lot of weapons have done similar things like this in the past, but this will work on any, seasonal mod weapon. At 5 charges, the weapon's next shot creates an explosive blast on impact that damages nearby enemies.
Okay. Like
so again,
action.
Yeah, we've talked about this. I think they're doing a good job of blending. I really think for someone like me that likes to do new weapons, I don't like to hold on to doing older weapons I don't delete my weapons, but this is good because, again, we know we're pushing, you get the extra DPS with seasonal weapons. We have these seasonal mods that look pretty good. They're really pushing seasonal weapons and seasonal armor. You don't have to. It's not like your other stuff's going to be bad, but these are little bonuses that aren't too good, but I think they're doing a good job of really trying to get us interested in doing the new seasonal weapons and armor.
Okay.
Would this get you any more interested in doing seasonal weapons? Is these cool mods?
For me, it will. I like these mods. They all have, they're not, some of them are conditional, but for the most part, they're just definitely blunt, buffs to the weapon. So yeah, it makes sense. Now, don't got a question here. These mods, will they disappear after the season disappears?
Yeah, they're seasonal mods, and then there'll be new seasonal mods for the next set.
This is something different. They've never done this before, have they? I don't think.
Well, they kind of started seasonal. Actually, they had seasonal weapon mods, remember, for our last one, for this current one we're in.
That's right. Okay.
But people, I think, they're doing it the way with everything's changing. Not really, but now people are actually going to do this more. I think the way they introduced it in this current episode was maybe because people didn't like the weapons as much, or maybe because it was just a small change that people always forget about. Okay. We had it this episode too. We didn't have it the previous episodes, but
see, I didn't hear about any of this stuff. So if we didn't talk about this dev article, I would have never known about this. They didn't talk about this in Twabs. They haven't talked about this in live streams. I'm glad you mentioned this tonight because this is all new to me.
Yeah, and then just to wrap up at the very bottom, how are we going to get this stuff? Well, we know when we start our journey on Kepler, we're just going to get tier 1 drops at first.
Right.
Now, they say when you focus on gaining power, you'll earn new weapons and slowly begin to find occasional tier 2 weapons as you unravel Kepler's mysteries. To me, what they're saying there is not so much you get to a mysterious area and you'll get a tier 2 weapon. Maybe they're saying that, but I think what they're saying is, again, if you do some of these mysteries on Kepler, the little bit harder versions, maybe. I could be wrong. Do you have any kind of what you're thinking they mean by that? But
it just says, completing major accomplishments. So maybe.
Well, that's it. No, that's after the tier 2 thing. That's the next sentence.
Permanent upgrades to Kepler's reward tiers. I don't know what that means. I don't know what's going to trigger that. I do not know.
It doesn't really matter, in my opinion, because we know tier 1 and tier 2 are kind of weapons that were below adept that we currently had. And so they will drop from just doing stuff. Eventually you get tier 3. But they're saying, of course, you're going to get all these things from chests and exploring areas and playing the missions. I mean, that's all obvious. Nothing new is there. But of course, once you finish the campaign, new difficulties will be unlocked for replay higher gear tiers. So just like the portal system, and since Kepler's in the portal also, by the way, it's not on the map, it'll tell you probably, especially if you're doing these after activities on harder versions, just like all the other portal stuff, it'll tell you go into this Kepler activity on a harder mode, it'll tell you this is going to drop tier 3 or whatever, right?
Okay.
So I think that's what's good about this system with the portal and all that stuff.
I'm looking forward to this.
Some players, we already knew this. Again, we don't need to worry. Like, some players will set goals to get the highest tiers, aiming for God roll tier 5s. But a lot of other players will just be okay sticking around tier 3-ish, which was similar to old adept weapons. Like, some players maybe even find on tier 2. And then I think it sounds like once you get into tier 3, that's when you need to slightly try hard. And then tier 4 and tier 5 is like the harder level stuff.
I'm more excited about getting higher tier armor because I have to make some builds for Crucible.
Maybe they'll make an article for that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, cool.
But that's a good update on weapons and gear tiering.
All right. Well, let's get back to the TWAB. Thanks, Kingsley, for doing that. Let's quickly go through this. They talked about the Edge of Fate launch trailer, which we said was really interesting. They showed the portal system. There's the UI right here on screen. I don't know. It looks kind of like Fireteam matchmaking to me. It looks like the same kind of layout.
Yeah.
They were just going over everything they talked about already. Right of the Nine will have a final update going into next week. They're going to have if you remember Daybreak where, your abilities recharge like really fast, they're going to have that in next week's Edge of Fate.
And the Ludapalooza, of course.
The Ludapalooza, right. I might actually see if some people want to jump in here and do this. I might, if I have time, I'll just have to see what my schedule's like going into this. Cause
funny. They've repeated this like 6 times in a row now. And every week as it goes by, they take off the previous week.
Yeah.
And
just keep mentioning it. It's like, we'll drill it into your heads until you decide to do it. A new challenge appears. They're going to have a challenge where, the team Destiny Tracker running 2 weekends of challenges around Prophecy Inspire. It's basically a speed run from July 4th to the 6th. From July 4th, from July 4th to the 6th, the weekend, which as you're hearing this, it'll probably be past already. So, they have some awards for, Spire the Watcher as fast as you can, solo duo or with a full fire team. I'll just mention that briefly because by the time this podcast comes out, that's already going to be past. So, the world's first raid race is going to be back. They talked about CB Gray and Evan F will be doing the hosting again for the main Twitch channel where they'll probably have several windows open showing all kinds of different teams that are competing. They did a good job last year. I watched it for quite a bit of time, of course, with other streamers as well. But I had multiple windows open, but they have a really nice emblem here if you watch, and they don't tell you how long or what you got to do, but they said that next week, I guess they're going to talk more about this, but it is a beautiful emblem though. I mean, look at this emblem. It's just gorgeous. So anyway, Bungie's going to GCX, and here's the thing about GCX, and this actually got me even thinking about going. They're going to be bringing something, Bungie will be, on July 25th from 3 to 4:30 Eastern. They're going to host an exclusive developer panel that'll take you deep into the heart of Destiny 2's storytelling process. Threads of Fate, exploring Destiny 2's narrative craft, will give you an unprecedented look at how one expansion story goes from the initial pitch deck all the way through development to launch, with special focus on the Edge of Fate, of course. You'll get to see behind the curtain of our creative process and discover what it takes to create the narratives that drive the Guardian's journey. We're thrilled to have 2 D2 narrative team members, Allison Lures, everybody knows Allison, and Hannah Filipsky. They'll be joining in for the deep dive. They are very talented people, I'm sure. They'll be sharing insights you won't find anywhere else. So on our very own DMG will be actually the moderator of the discussion. And they've got a special guest lined up that you'll think you'll love. I'm guessing it's probably going to be a voiceover artist, maybe, is my guess, from one of the characters in Destiny, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. But if find out more about GCX and how you can also score an exclusive fight stick emblem through GCX's channels and website, and they list the website here. That is a really nice emblem, man. Reminds me of my fight days at the arcades. Anyway, they mention another brief here. This is some lore. I would just recommend that you guys come back and read this yourself because I will just butcher it. There's a little piece of lore in here again pertaining to Edge of Fate. You want to go catch up on that with, a bunch of.
I don't know why they're putting this in the TWID when it's already a long TWID.
Yeah,
they should have just made it a
secret. So the part I want to get to is they're going to be doing some weapon tuning. This is the new sandbox going into Edge of Fate. Hello again from the Destiny 2 sandbox team. Like most other areas of the game, weapons have gotten many changes in the Edge of Fate. So let's get right into it. Before that, though, a reminder that yesterday, of course, the dev article we talked about, we just went over about the tiers of weapons. Weapon archetypes. Now, I did want to mention this. I'm going to mention the highlights here because this stuff is kind of important. Machine guns. We're trying out something new for Destiny on machine guns, staged reloads. Machine guns generally have very long reload animation times that can be very punishing when canceled. I know this very much. We have added several checkpoints from which the animation can now be resumed if it is interrupted mid-reload, so reloading and all of a sudden some captain's running at you, you got to swap back. That's a nice change.
News.
Yeah, this is a feature we're rolling out on the machine guns first, but we plan to expand this on other weapon types in the future. I like this change. So now, stage reload places checkpoints in the reload animation. When a player cancels a reload animation and starts it again, it will resume from the latest checkpoint. I love that. JD Kent, you listening? JD Kent, you still in the chat? Glaives. All right, here's basically what they're doing. They said that glaives have generally been very good, but they have some tracking, right? So their problem is the tracking for some reason is becoming less accurate. I've noticed this too when I'm playing with my glaive. Don't you dare clip that. That when I'm close by and I'm trying to shoot people like a shotgun, that sometimes the tracking actually makes it more inaccurate. So they've reduced the projectile tracking strength at very close range to avoid the behavior of what I just said, making it less accurate. So that's the one thing they're changing on the glaives. Kings, I got to mention this. They're redoing reconstruction. That's one of my favorite mods on all the guns out there. Reconstruction has been underperforming on non-rocket launcher weapons since the nerf that increased the time it needs to start filling a weapon's mag. So we're greatly increasing the amount of ammo transferred on each activation. So they're increasing the amount of ammo transferred per activation from 10% to 25%. That is a positive change. And I will definitely be looking for reconstruction on some of the newer weapons as well. Anything else here, Kingsley? Kinetic tremors. I think they're going to make it where it takes less shots to activate it, especially on high impact auto rifles, high impact scout rifles, and they've adjusted it on hand cannons depending on what weapon frame it is. So they're changing that a little bit as well. Anything else? Attrition orbs, 1-2 punch, eager edge, valiant charge.
Nothing really I need to talk about. There's so much in here. Yep.
Well, I want to talk about
whatever you want.
I want to talk about chain reaction. As fun as the chain reaction plus hatchling interaction is, it is inconsistent with other perk combinations, which are generally not allowed to chain explosions together. It's important to be as consistent as possible when we handle these interactions. We don't want our players' ability to tell if your weapon roll is good or not, depending on knowing which parts chain with the other and which don't when it's listed in game. So threadlings created by weapon perks will no longer activate the detonation from chain reaction. That's another thing I love to have on my weapons. So as far as chain reaction on Dragonfly and Firefly, they're no longer use weapon archetype scaling against combatants and instead use a new perk damage scaling that is more normalized between different types of weapons. This buffs many weapons with these perks against most targets. Here are some of the biggest winners. Fusion Rifles deals 41% more chain reaction damage to minors. Submachine Gun deals 43% more Dragonfly and Firefly damage to minor combatants. Auto Rifles deal 47% more Dragonfly damage to minor combatants. Linear Fusion Rifles deal 165% more chain reaction damage to minor combatants and at least 124% more chain reaction to all others. Varies slightly based on combatant type. And then Swords deal 123% more chain reaction damage to minor combatants, or at least 193% more chain reaction damage to all other combatants. Varies slightly based on the combatant type. So I love using chain reaction on my swords as well. So that's a very interesting point there. Let's see. Champion interaction.
They're just fixing exotic stuff to make it more clear.
Yeah.
How they work with that stuff. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. We'll leave it at that. Vigilance Wing now has last stand bonus and running PvE activities. I don't really use Vigilance Wing in PvE. It's kind of made for PvP. Hierarchy of Needs, Dead Man's Tale, Duality, Navigator, Wicked Implement. This I liked. I love this scout rifle. It's going from a 180 to a rapid fire RPM. Now takes one additional hit to start slowing and to freeze accounts to account for faster rate of fire, and increase the magazine to 20. And it now intrinsically is anti-overload. That I wanted to mention because I love that scout rifle. Just jump in here if you see anything. Heart Shadow, Worldline Zero. Gosh, anybody use Worldline Zero anymore? Devil's Ruin, Tommy's Matchbook. They're changing some of the burn effects on, you're going to have actually a burn on your whole screen when you get damage from it. Winter Bite is now intrinsically anti-overload. Anti-champion changes.
We have a good short list here. They're adding to like some exotic weapons.
Yes.
They added Unstop to Queen's Breaker, Salvation's Grip, Dragon's Breath, and they added Overload to Tractor Cannon, Darcy, and Two-Tailed Fox.
Darcy's
now,
good.
conditional finality can be either Overload or Unstoppable, depending on which element is active.
Yeah, I don't have one. Still don't have one. Regarding PvP, yeah. This burns my butt. For those of you looking for PvP tuning numbers, we're aware of the math in terms of bouncing around fixed health issues or values and new weapon stat damage bonuses. We have our finger on the trigger and are aimed at a number of targets, but we want to make sure the weapons and perks we choose to tune actually become balance issues instead of preemptively nerfing a bunch of builds or playstyles before you even are able to try them out. So stay tuned on that, I guess. Once it is known how realistic it is to achieve certain stat combos and what trade-offs those stat spills enforce, we will have a more complete picture to determine how problematic these builds actually are in the Crucible. We'll be watching and gathering your feedback, and we are standing by ready to adjust as necessary in future updates. So some stuff may be broken. Don't tell anybody. Sure as hell don't stream it to other people so they can tell Bungie.
A, Y, and B, that's not going to happen.
Right, exactly. Power and Edge of Fate. Let's read this. This is just important.
Good stuff here.
Yeah, with the reimagining of Destiny 2's core game experience comes a refreshed version of player power. We've overhauled how you earn power and what it means to your journey across the season to be a more meaningful experience. We've also removed weekly barriers and are giving you more agency in choosing how you want to level up, like in Crucible. Jeff? Earning power will be more intuitive than ever before, with most activities even offering a reward forecast. I like that. A forecast that enables you to plan your rewards increase your power by overcoming greater challenges and earning higher tiers.
Yep, they showed that in the stream.
They showed that in the stream. It's very good. I love that forecast figure they put on the UI. Refreshing power. The first thing you'll notice when you log into Edge of Fate is, the power refresh. You're going to be at 10. It's much cleaner, they're saying. Legacy power will still be visible on the power tooltip, but everyone starts at 10. The power band. You want to read this part, Kingsley? The power band?
So this is the actual details.
Yeah.
In the updated power band, it goes from 10 to 200 for that part. Power will, it goes higher, but that's the initial part. Power will work as it traditionally did when you're playing what they call soft cap stuff. So you'll see progress just by finding any gear across what you want to play, even on the easiest modes, from what I understand. From the new Edge of Fate expansion, PvP, patrolling your favorite classic destination, just doing any BS stuff anywhere. Playing activities on the portal will offer increased progression. So that means maybe like a bigger delta in a drop. But, and then while completing missions and finding secret chests in the Saga expansions will offer the fastest progression. So there will be ways to go faster between that 10 to 200, but anything you do will increase that soft cap up to 200. Okay.
That's good.
Lots of activity will exist in the power band, including the entire Edge of Fate expansion, event activities, all legacy content, even the new raid, of course. While these activities won't ask you to earn more than 200 power to play at max effectiveness, they may offer rewards above 200 would play at harder difficulties. Yeah, that's that chicken and the egg scenario where sometimes I wonder, it's okay if you're just someone who wants to see the number go higher. That's one thing. But the funny thing is you can't get higher. Once you're past that 200, you can't get harder stuff unless you do harder stuff also, which you're already a little bit below. So you got to kind of do something hard that's a little bit below what you could be to get better drops. And then it's kind of like you're always kind of like just trying something hard to kind of like get higher and higher. Right. But up to the 200, it'll be easy enough. Also during the climb, you'll be able to earn the tier 1, the tier 2s that we were talking about, even the occasional tier 3s. So they do actually say more information here than even the dev article I read. Mm-hmm. The gear is as strong as legendary or adept weapons from before Edge of Fate for that tier 3. Your progress up to that power cap will stick around into the new season when it releases in December, giving you consistent access to gear as strong or as better than what you're used to.
Yep.
So I think what they're saying, you mentioned this too, the above 200 is the bonus stuff, but it'll reset back down to 200 at the next update.
So the key is to get to 200 as quick as you can, and then you will have 6 months probably to get from 200 to 450, and that's when you can start jumping in. Keep in mind that power team or fire team power will be in effect. So if you have players that are way ahead of you, you can still play stuff with them just like we have in the past. So keep that in mind.
And I love this. And I predicted this a long time ago when people thought it wasn't going to be in play. And so if you are someone like me that doesn't care as much, like I'll definitely be excited to get up to that 200 level. But once I about reach that, I may not have as much desire to go past it for several reasons. Because if I'm in harder level activity, there will probably be, at least someone with fire team power. It doesn't matter. And I don't care about these days doing the hardest level stuff too, which they say you can do everything, including the raid at 200. It'll just be a little easier or a lot easier above 200.
Right.
So that's kind of what you just balance. Like if you care, making the number go higher is one thing, but like if it's as far as like how easy of a time you want to have in the game, you're going to have a harder time at some point, either on the front end to get higher than 200 or not doing it at all. You're just doing that activity at 200 and then it's a little bit harder anyway. So, harder level stuff will stay harder is what they're saying basically no matter what.
And it won't be about XP driving up the seasonal power anymore. It'll be based on activities that you play. So keep that in mind.
Yep.
Yeah, good point. Let's see. Anything else here? Bonus power rewards. As with the climb of power cap 200, increasing your power level further with seasonal bonus power, like I mentioned, we'll be able to earn even higher tiers of armor and weapons with even greater benefits. With the Edge of Fate first launches, you'll be able to increase your power as much as total 450. We talked about earning high enough grades from portal activities can give consistent growth all the way to 400. So play Portal. Total power 400 to 450 rewards will come. Will at first come from newly upgraded Prime Engrams, which will definitely matter now, which will drop both higher power and higher gear tier than your regular rewards. Achieving higher grades and portal activities improve the chances of finding those Prime Engrams, which are also no longer limited by week. I love that. They mention here again with Ash and Iron, major update later this season, you'll be able to earn a total power all the way to 550. Regular rewards from portal activities will be able to drop up to 500 total power, and Prime Engrams will again reward gear to the hard cap of 550. So, it's going to keep going up. Just keep in mind, when we hit December, everything's going to reset back to 200. That's the main takeaway here.
And also, did you get what that is between 400 and 450? It's a little more RNG based from 400 to 450 because you have to rely on the Prime Engrams. And yes, they will consistently drop. But the thing about it, the way I'm looking at it is up to 400, it's more just you pick the level activity in the portal, and it'll tell you exactly what type of level you'll get of a drop. But once you get to 400, you're relying more on those just Prime Engrams.
Yeah, those primes. And they drop the higher letter grade you get with your portal activities. That's what's going to increase the drop rate. Yep.
Anyways, this sounds like a bunch of just stuff to do. I'm glad they added it. I'm not saying they shouldn't have added it, but I don't know how much.
Well, this is the part I had to mention. Infusion. Infusion is a great way to increase the power of your favorite items, but needing a constant supply of upgrade modules to do it was a hassle. We're simplifying Infusion to use instead enhancement cores directly. Great. Better go enhancement core farm now. Anyway, so you're going to have to use enhancement cores directly, so you no longer need to make constant trips to Banshee. Any upgrade modules you'll have in your inventory at the start of the Edge of Fate can safely be dismantled to reclaim 5,000 Glimmer and 1 enhancement core, which is the price it is to buy one right now. You can infuse levels of seasonal bonus power into your favorite gear using a currency called unstable cores. Yeah. While you find unstable cores from a variety of sources, the primary way to acquire them is by dismantling unneeded gear. Okay, I like that. Like the seasonal bonus power levels. The higher the bonus power of your item you dismantle, the greater number of unstable cores you'll receive. I like this. This is like the old Bright Dust days when you got something from Eververse that you didn't like or didn't want, you would get refunded some Bright Dust, which is really good. It means you can increase your Bright Dust. So this is the same way you're going to be able to get these unstable cores. Likewise, infusing items with a larger difference in bonus power levels will take more unstable cores. Unstable cores will have a large inventory cap and will be refreshed at the start of the next season alongside the bonus power. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Man, they're really wanting us to grind, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, you don't have to. Again, don't feel pressured if you don't want to. But the thing that this is an interesting point, because this can happen in a lot of different games. It's not just in Destiny. And I really recommend, I even get tempted to not do this also, but especially on the grind up to 200, you really shouldn't be infusing things unless you really have to live with your one weapon you can't play without. What you really should do, and I know people don't like to play this way that have played the game for a while, is just play with the highest drops you get, right?
Yep.
Because in that way, you don't have to infuse it all because you're getting, remember, the soft cap is up 200, so you can get every drop will be higher in theory. So if you just play with the highest stuff that drops, you don't have to infuse at all until level 200. And then maybe when you get really close, then infuse into the weapons you prefer or something. But if you're infusing like every 5 levels, don't complain if you're running out of materials because you didn't need to infuse that often. You can just play with the highest drop you get. And
don't keep all your gear. Dismantle. If you're not going to use it, just dismantle and get those cores. Now, JD Ken had a good question here. He says, do you have to be power level 500 to get tier 5 gear? I think I know the answer to this, but yeah, it just, I think you have a better chance of getting those prime engrams that have that tier 5 gear. That's what they're saying. In Ash and Iron, which will be 500. But no, playing hard activities, you'll get the harder activity, the better chance you'll get those tier 5 stuff. So yeah, that's what you got to remember there.
Because tier 5 isn't directly related to power level at all. It's kind of a separate thing.
Yeah. So the harder content you play, more modifiers and stuff, the higher.
Now, of course, you may not be able to play that harder content until you're at least 200 or higher, but
a grind. Yep.
Yeah, but again, that grind to 200 sounds like it's going to be the easy-ish grind.
I think so.
Was what I'm about.
Yeah. Quality of life. This is the part I like to talk about. With the Edge of Fate, the power climb should be more intuitive than ever before. Seasonal bonus power offers a refreshed player journey for the highest tiers of gear every season while keeping numbers understandable and meaningful. The reward forecast for many activities will preview exactly what power your reward will be when you reach the target score. That's fantastic. With the new core game modifier system, you can even curate what kind of challenge you're in for, allowing everyone's power journey to be uniquely tailored to how they want to play. Portal content will also feature new daily bonus focus rewards across both PvE and PvP, which allow you to target earning power on gear for a specific slot. Excellent. That you might be missing to round out your average. So no more hoping that clan engram is going to have that high level pinnacle class item that the only thing you need to get to that power level. So now you'll be able to focus it better. So any content on this or any comments on this part?
When you say yes, you can play how you want to, but be careful. That doesn't mean you can do a tier 5. Let's say you want to get a tier 5 drop. You're going to have to do things you don't want to do in there. You're going to have to do some hard banes that you don't want to do. You're going to have to, you can't just make it a perfect way.
Repeat a bunch of easy stuff. No, you can't do that. Yeah,
exactly. And you know what? One of the biggest things they said too, and I know you're not going to like this. There's also timers for the faster you do it, the better reward you'll get. So
I saw that. Yeah. More importantly, though, economy updates in the Edge of Fate. The Edge of Fate, we're taking a deep look at our core game activities and in-game economies and rebuilding them along with the rest of the game. Core game activities, solo ops, fireteam ops, pinnacle ops, crucible, and Trials of Osiris will be our primary sources of glimmer, strange coins, and masterwork materials. These rewards will scale alongside your gear with better rewards coming from higher difficulty content. As you can see below, a lot is changing with this release and will continue to evolve over the coming seasons based on your feedback and analytics. So please keep it coming. Armor masterworking. Here's the TLDR here. I'm not going to go through all this. The higher tier your weapon is or gear is, the more expensive it's going to be to masterwork it. And when you masterwork it, it's giving what? Let's see, for weapons, you said it was on tier 5, it was 5 power.
+5 for each stat.
Right.
Plus, of course, the +10 that you already get for.
Right.
Yeah. And then for armor,
yeah.
What does it give you? We talked about it in the past, but
trying to remember.
What's the reason to masterwork armor?
It gave to your 3 lowest stats in your armor. It would increase them by a certain amount, up to 15%, I believe. So gear tier 1, pretty cheap. 2 enhancement cores to get and it's 5 levels now, not 10, to get to masterwork a weapon or armor. I'm guessing it's armor too. It just says gear.
Oh, this is just armor we're talking about now.
This is armor. Okay. So tier 2, it's going to be a little more expensive. You're going to actually have to throw an enhancement prism in there at the end. Tier 3, you're actually getting into enhancement or ascendant shards now, and enhancement prisms. Tier 4 gets even more expensive, and tier 5 it gets even more expensive. So it's kind of like when you masterwork an exotic, expensive that is to do. But if you look at the amounts of glimmer you need here too, it's much higher on higher tier stuff. So, okay, that's fine. Exotic armor, I mentioned it right here. Going to be pretty expensive. It looks like it's about the same as what it has always been. It looks pretty similar to me as far as exotic armor, because remember, it's not the new exotic armor, it's the older stuff. So, this was important. I want to mention this. Destination materials, the finest matterwort, dust like shards, all the planetary stuff that you would pick up in the past. And if you look at your, if you want to know if you have any, go to the Cryptarch and scroll to the right and all the way to the end. If you have some materials, it'll have an exchange where you can get 5,000 glimmer for so many of them, or 10,000 glimmer for 100 of them or whatever.
I'm maxed out on glimmer, and I have so many of these materials still.
I do too. On my alt accounts. I've used them all up on my main account, but on my alt accounts, I got a ton of this stuff. Make sure, I don't know what I could tell you. Do they need to maybe buy a bunch of ships or store glimmer in the vault? Maybe. I don't know how to tell people to do here, but
my bigger concern is after July 15th, they say they can be safely deleted, so they're not deleting for us. But hopefully, we don't have to do one by one. I hope we can delete them. But
they're going to be deprecated. So whatever value you can get from them now, you got less than 2 weeks to get the value out of them, and it's glimmer, by the way. That's what you're getting. So use them up.
I hope I don't have to delete them one by one.
Use them up or lose them. Yep, use them up or lose them. Activity rewards changes. Now, this was kind of important. I want to make sure we mention this. Vanguard Ops Onslaught. Onslaught has been rebuilt to be part of the core game activity engine and will drop in new tiered rewards. That means the older gear, the Brave Arsenal, needs to be moved to a different place. So guess where it's going? It's going to Xur. Xur will sell certain wares every week, and it's only the standard non-foil versions of these weapons. Zavala will no longer offer Onslaught attunement, so keep that in mind. Nightfalls. While Nightfalls will remain accessible from the World tab in the Edge of Fate, they will no longer work on a weekly rotator, but on a daily one, and will include all current Nightfall strikes and battlegrounds. This required some changes how the loot was delivered, so Nightfall weapons are now legacy gear. Nightfall loot pool will be updated to include all previous Nightfall weapons that have origin traits. Nightfall rewards are going to be on a knockout list until all Nightfall weapons have been unlocked. From then on, it's going to be basically a flat drop chance. Grandmaster Nightfalls no longer exist, as their purpose and function has been transferred to the portal screen and Conquest. You'll still experience Grandmaster difficulty just in other activities. Legendary rituals. Jeff, you still here? Crucible Gambit Vanguard Ops. Ritual weapon. This kind of upset me a little bit. Ritual reputation reward tracks have been removed. Ritual engrams will be removed. Legacy focusing remains, but the cost has been updated with the removal of the ritual engram. So now it's going to be 15,000 glimmer and 3 enhancement cores. Great. More enhancement cores. If you want to focus try to get a weapon to drop with the stuff you want. Vendors and reputation rank tracks. When you start playing Edge of Fate, you'll notice the vendor reputation system has been removed from vendors in the tower, with the exception of Hawthorne for your clan vendor. This new approach comes in hand with a rebalance of rewards throughout the game. Without going into too much detail, we can say that removing these reputation tracks allows us to be more rewarding with currencies and gear that drop from activities. You better not be lying to me, Bungie. With that in mind, here's a list of additional changes coming to Fistful of Vendors and new expansions. Xur There's going to have all kinds of stuff. I'm not even going to go through all this. It's a lot of legendary stuff. He's
way too much.
Way too much stuff. He's going to have a lot of new stuff. So just go check his stuff out. He no longer will have engrams and ciphers. So keep that in mind. Ada 1 Ada will be offering up to 20 threader bounties per season per class. Ada's inventory of legacy armors has been expanded to include armors previously distributed via Xur. Legendary armor will cost 15,000 glimmer and 3 enhancement cores. Ada will offer other players who have made it to the tower for the first time the Edge of Fate bundle of exotic armor tokens to be used to reroll the exotic armors with new stat packages. We're all going to get that, by the way. Players must have unlocked the items in the collections before it is eligible to be rerolled. These tokens are a one-time offer. Use them and then lose them. These offers will disappear from Ada when all tokens have been spent. No new armors will be added to this in the future, so there will be no benefit to hoarding tokens. Transmog bounties have been overhauled. PvE bounties will now be completed anywhere in the PvE activities, no longer sends them to specific destinations like Blindwell and Altars of Sorrow, which I'd always have to delete and re-roll until I got the one I wanted. So now they're general. I love it. PvP bounties completed by doing any kind of PvP. And then raids and dungeons, of course, will be unchanged. It's usually like kill 50 majors or something, or complete all the objectives in the raid. That easy stuff. Just play the game. This is what makes me really sad, Kingsley. Bungie 44 is going pretty much. Banshee 44, they're pretty much emasculating this guy.
We already knew this too.
I know,
Not
but
all
I just have to read. They're removing all the reward track. No longer going to have the.
You're so sad. You want to read all the details.
Dismantling gear no longer provides gunsmith reputation. Banshee will no longer sell upgrade modules. Gunsmith engrams have been removed from the game, so make sure you cash them in, guys. If you have 57 of them, like I do right now, cash them in before the new expansion drops. And of course, you can still focus.
Are they telling us this now?
I don't know why. This guy's going to be useless. 15,000 glimmer and 3 enhancement cores. You can still get the legacy weapons, which I always had everything.
Well, wait. As far as the useless though, what they should have added in here, because didn't they tell us in a
they're going to have an arms day, right?
Exactly. So he's not completely useless. Now I understand you want these things, but I think he's adding something new, the arms day stuff.
So stay tuned, I guess, because they're not telling us yet. But they did mention it briefly in past TWABs. Rahul. I'm sure everyone's happy this is happening. No more reputation ranks. New exotic armors in the Edge of Fate will be unlocked via completing the legendary campaign and not through Rahul. Unlocked per class, which means you got to play every class. If you have all 3 classes, you're going to have to play them. Play the legendary version of the campaign if you want to get the newest exotic, which are all gauntlets this season. And also no need to decrypt engrams to unlock it. It costs will remain the same for novel focusing. Focusing submenu has been rendered to put the most used screens up front. Okay. Ghost mods are changing as well. Remember they used to have resistance armor, all that stuff. You get at least 10 and a certain stat. Well, that's all been deprecated. They're going to be replaced with a new set of armor or ghost mods, which you'll probably share more, or you'll find out on day one. Some activity ghost mods have been deprecated. We plan to add new activity ghost mods in a future release. That's good. I like using our ghost. Osirian ciphers, Nightfall ciphers, that will remain in your inventory, and we are not deleting them. We have plans for them in Destiny 2 Renegades, so don't get rid of them, but they're not going to be able to use them. They'll have no use in Edge of Fate, but keep them in your inventory. I still got some. Destiny 2 expansion open access. You have a friend who's thinking about playing Destiny for was it 2 weeks? 2 weeks, I think. July 8th, that's next Tuesday, until July 22nd, all currently available Destiny 2 expansions, as well as the 3 available episodes. Don't waste your time on those. Just do the expansions. Will be available for free on all supported platforms, PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, Microsoft, Epic Games. And the cherry on top, everything you earn is yours to keep. That's not bad.
Wait. No, that's really good news, but that does not make sense for the episodes. Because aren't the episodes supposed to be going away when the expansion comes out?
Oh, maybe the story part of the episode?
July 22nd, which is a week after the expansion.
Oh, maybe the episodes up until Edge of Fate drops, maybe. Because the episodes will go away, right?
Okay, that would make more sense. So when they said July 22nd, I just got confused.
I guess technically they have to say that because they will still be available. It's almost Bungie Day. They're partnering a Twitch Summer of Rewards campaign to bring you some fresh new emblems on the road to the launch from 12 a.m. Pacific on July 7th, Bungie Day, until 12 a.m. Pacific on July 15th. Gift a sub in the Destiny 2 directory. JD Kane, I know you've earned this, buddy. And you'll be able to receive a pixel perfect emblem. I do have the overlay in my Twitch chat. So if you do this while watching me play or even during our podcast, you can get this emblem if we're playing Destiny. Last but not least, be on the lookout for Bungie Day sale starting 7/7 at 10 a.m. reset. On the Bungie store, we're having all new exciting savings, retired rewards, and much more. So it's a big sale there. Player support report. Kingsley, is anything here worth talking about?
No, but I just thought of another thing with that open access.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. No, I'm glad they're doing it.
Why is it weird?
They've never done that before, have they? With all previous stuff being free for a few weeks.
They've had a free trial for I think you could play the new player thing for free.
Yeah, but not everything in the game, right?
No. It's the first time.
Well, this will be everything except for the new expansion, of course.
Of course.
And it goes till a week after the expansion comes out. So it goes a week before to a week after.
So they're hoping you're going to buy the expansion and start the new phase of Destiny.
Yeah, but it's almost like they're trying to fudge the numbers up some too. So I almost have to wonder if the real numbers will be after July 22nd, because if people don't buy the expansion, but they're just playing, it's almost like they're trying to fudge the numbers a little bit. But anyways.
Just an FYI here, all your episodes, season pass items, vendor rewards, ritual reward, vendor engrams, Bungie rewards, make sure you get all those before July 15th or you'll lose them. Okay. Shit's broken, basically, in a nutshell. If there's something you want to specifically find, Bungie.net, the place to go. This was a long twid, but also a great one. Tons of information to digest. Take it slow. Try to understand what it means. Maybe rely on your favorite content creators to get some different points of view, or just wait to play the game to get more hands-on idea. You do you, right? The Edge of Fate and the Year of Prophecy as a whole will bring a lot of system changes to your favorite video game. Yes, we've said that a few times already, but it's still true. So let's just add something more to this time. To better understand everything, you're going to need to play and test it. Words and videos only get you so far. The good thing is that we're almost there. Only 12 more days. Yeah, 12 days as of today. As we're recording this, you set foot on Kepler and discover all of its secrets. Bring your best fashion, Guardians. And I think this was Cosmo that did this, because I see the dog picture. Yep. So, Destiny 2 community.
I am not bringing my best fashion, because I'm going to be putting on my highest gear that drops.
Yes, you are. Use your ornaments. I guess. But
I know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. Hopefully we didn't have too many people fall asleep, especially if you're driving right now. I apologize. We'll try to have something a little more upbeat next. So, that's it for Destiny, this week in Destiny for this week. Damn, I did it. Didn't say Twab. Anyway, we're getting to our topic of the week right after this. Hey, just a quick reminder that we have several Destiny 2 clans, and we invite all of you to be a part of it. If you're looking for a home to share your Destiny experiences, now would be a great time to jump in and get to know some of these great gamers. We're here for the community and friends you make along the way, and no hardcore restrictions. And enjoy what time you have for Destiny is all we ask. So if you're looking for a clan out there, join our Discord. That's discord.gg/GuardianDownCast, and just reach out to a mod and we'll open the door for you. So join us. And later, Guardian. Okay, topic of the week. And this is a pretty straightforward topic. I think it's very apropos to everything we've been talking about tonight. So Bungie has laid out everything on the table. They've had 2 live streams. They've had several Director Insight articles long ago, many TWABs. So what do you think? Is this going to be enough to get the player base back to at least 50% of what it was with the final shape? I'll start. I feel this expansion was made for players like me. I mentioned that earlier. I mean, players that don't mind, grinding out past stuff as long as the reward is requisite with the level and time played. That's the biggest if. It's a looter shooter. We have to be rewarded for what we're doing in the game. Respect for our time, right? And I know there's RNG in the game. I realize that, but I've never played Empire Hunts after Shadowkeep because the rewards sucked and the activities took forever to complete. It seems like I can just jump into anything in solo ops, complete a couple of things in half an hour or so before work, get my rewards, and bounce. I mean, I've always said in the past, give me the path to get to the number or get to the reward, and I'll complete it. So that's kind of my feeling as far as if there's players out there like me who like to grind, like to make number go up, get dopamine hit, and are getting valuable rewards for their time played, then I think at least 50% of the player base will come back from final shape numbers. What say you, Kingsley Mac?
Well, that's an interesting question because I think even if they showed us less, then yeah, my prediction was always 50% to 75%, no matter what.
Okay.
So, but is that good enough? Like, yes, we'll have at least 50%, but like, should the question be more, should they be trying to get more people? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Did they do enough to get more people? Because I think we're going to get 50%, even if they showed us less stuff. So,
okay.
I do think we'll be to at least 50%. That was my prediction all along. It hasn't changed much with, however much they showed us. Like I always had my expectations at a realistic level. And I feel like that 50 to 75% was a realistic level. I would even be surprised if it's less than 50%. That's why I said 50% or more.
So at least 50% they'll recoup.
So answering your question on that, I think it was easy to get to 50% no matter what.
Okay.
But I think what you were kind of getting at is this enough?
Yep.
Is it enough? Look, it doesn't really matter. There's only so much they could do. I know that their marketing and people that love the game and people that are super overly unrealistic but optimistic about everything think everything's going to be perfectly fine. And that's a good thought to have. And then realistic expectations might be something like, well, they kept telling us we're going to have less content. And yes, we're going to have the grindable stuff and that will get some people interested, but not everyone. And so when people that were already stepping away and they're not sure and haven't bought yet because, pre-sales were down, that's kind of the equation where I don't think anything could have been done to get more than that 50 to 75% because Final Shape was such a big ending. And unless they were to take a few years off and make something really big, even if it wasn't a Destiny 3, there was no way they could get up to the levels of Final Shape, no matter what they did. That's why I was realistic from way back a year and a half ago. There's no way the year after Destiny's Final Shape will be as big as the year of Final Shape. So that's just my opinion there. Was it good enough I think an interesting question is, will it be good enough to garner some new excitement? I think that's a really interesting question.
That's a good question.
And I hope so. I think it could. I don't know. I'm 50-50 on that right now. Will it get people excited? Like, here's what we would hope, really. Like, maybe the first couple days, it's only at 50%, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if people start, this would be hard to know. But if we hear people in like communities that weren't excited to pre-order it, but then all of a sudden they're hearing like, oh, you should check it out, you should order it, and they order it like a couple days later or whatever, right?
Well, the numbers go up.
And if that number stays, instead of dropping as fast as Final Shape did, and again, it doesn't drop for about a month, but it still dropped kind of fast within a few days and then stayed higher. I don't know. It'll really be hard to know, but we hope we hear, probably the numbers won't be able to tell us, but if we hear from people that bought it after when they didn't pre-order it, that'll be really cool if we hear that this was a good enough update to get some people excited. But they really have to hear it from people after the fact because, I don't know, it could be something that they're saying like, well, yeah, the zones in Kepler isn't that big, but boy, when we're going in again and again, it's like always this new thing that happens and it's keeping us excited, then that word could get out and then make people excited. And that, along with the people that like to grind and everything, could get some people back in the game.
Yeah. I said it earlier in the when we talked about the live stream. No, JD can't. Solops is not going to pay out 2 tokens in a blue. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. If that happens,
I don't think
that's
they'll
not
do
going
that
to be good. The key word for me, and I know Bungie's trying to change it up, right? They've listened to the community. They're trying something different, right? And I applaud them for that. I applaud them that they have a totally different story. It does involve the 9, so it does tie back to some parts that we played already. At least we have a general understanding of the 9, and this activity we're playing toward the end of this season is trying to tie into that as well. It's replayability, man. That's been the thorn in Bungie's side for the longest time. Is if you look at the numbers of when people log in and they always do it with the content drops, and then they immediately start to fade back down again. And I know a lot of games that's just the way a lot of games are. People jump in, they try it, they either like it or they don't, and then they either bail or they worse, they cram it, get everything done. There's nothing left to do, and then they fail, and then they fall off. It's going to be if Bungie can get us to replay these activities because we were looking for that loot. It's going to come down to how repeatable is the activity that we talked about on Kepler that we don't know anything about. How repeatable is that going to be? Or is it going to be just like a escalation protocol, which everyone eventually got tired of as well? How replayable is it going to be? And it really, for me, replayability is all about the carrot and the stick. What is going to be at the end of this activity? If there's something there that's worth it to me to do it, then I'm going to do it.
Well, to be fair, you replayability anyways, no matter what, right?
Well, think about it. Why do I replay? Why do I do bounties daily? Well, I have another account. I'm in GDC 2. I'm trying to finish out the reward bar because guess what? Every time I do anything XP wise, I'm getting something reward for it. It's exactly the reason I do bounties, because I'm getting something for my time played. It's moving the bar forward. I'm getting materials or a piece of gear or a new ship, a new sparrow.
So all I was saying for you, they didn't even really have to make these changes. You were going to be replaying. For people like me, Kingsley, that like to grind and maybe do bounties and like doing homework, I think this game, this part of the Destiny expansion was made for us. And I think for this type of player, the players like me who like to tell me what I need to do to get what I need to get. We talked to Taja last week about it. Taja says, I don't really play anything. I just want to get the stuff. I just want to get the stuff and move on and where I can do anything I want. Well, now they've bypassed a lot of that, where once you do the campaign, which is really the only requisite thing you need to do here, hopefully I can get Jeff to do it. We'll see. Then all that matters is after that, can I play anything I want and get rewards? And it looks like, at least preliminarily, looking at what they've told us here, yes, you can go in the portal and jump into whatever you want to play and get rewards. But I'm still like, I think it's good and that'll help some people, but you were going to replay it anyways, because even right now when Destiny doesn't have this replayability yet, you're still playing. Mm-hmm. So yes, you're going to be more excited with the new system, but admit it, you play Destiny anyways, no matter how bad the system is.
Because I love I love to just jump in and shoot guardians and shoot aliens in the head.
Will this change your playing? Probably not by much, because you already played all the time anyways when it was boring. You're always just playing no matter what. Will this help the people that don't like grind? No, not really. So you were already going to play the same amount no matter what. I was already going to play the same amount no matter what. So I think it's going to be a group of people in the middle. Maybe that as not as much of I just like doing bounties and season pass bars and stuff like that. But I really want the weapons. But I said, when I'm saying I'm like these middle group of people, sorry.
Sure.
Maybe they're saying well, I like to grind a bit, but I'm kind of a middle ground where the activities got boring. So even though I wanted the weapons, it's not worth the grind. And right. I think those are the people that, and if there's enough of those groups of people, because again, you're going to play the game no matter what, how bad or boring it is. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do the grind no matter what. So it's like that middle group of people kind of, I think it will be interesting.
That's going to be the key, because like I said, it's going to be what's going to happen to those numbers after day one. If it starts, starts doing like this last season was, where it started fairly strong and it just slowly died down to very, very low numbers, at least what we can tell on Steam. We don't really have console numbers. There's no way to, they don't really publish those kinds of numbers.
The trends are the same.
Yeah. The trends are there's less players playing. I mean, I'll admit I haven't played this last quarter of Destiny. I've played a fraction of what I normally do. And it's not that I don't want to play Destiny. It's just there's really nothing for me to go out there and get that's worth it to me. And that's what I'm hoping this new expansion does. It puts something in my head that I want to work towards. I mean, it is a hobby level game, right? You want to jump on every night and say, okay, tonight I'm going to do that tier 5 activity in solo ops. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get this done. I know it's going to be tough. I know these modifiers are a bitch, but I want to get that tier 5 gun and just see how it feels to have a tier 5 weapon. And that's what I'll work on for the night. And then the next night I'll work on maybe getting some tier 5 armor. I'll work towards that, or tier 4 armor even, which is decent.
I kind of have a feeling a lot of us are not going to be able to do tier 5 solo. We're probably going to need a fire team. No offense to you or me, but yeah. I kind of have a feeling,
And like I said, they didn't show what a tier 5 activity looked like in a solo op. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll be able to do it or not. We'll have to see.
Or it'll be so hard. It'll be like have 10 Banes and finish it in 5 minutes or less, that it'll be like only the super tryhards can do it solo versus having a fire team or something,
It seems to me that they're really trying to indoctrinate us into this portal system, this new way of playing the game. And even by resetting the Guardian ranks, everyone goes back to 2. They're trying to lead us by the hand and tell us what we need to do if we want to get our Guardian ranks up. So I'm curious to see what that entails. I really am.
Yeah. I agree with you that, I have my strong prediction of the initial bump, but like probably the more, because I'm pretty sure I'll be correct with that. In fact, if it's less than 50, that's sad. And I'm not guessing that it will be less, but
that'd be pretty sad.
But yeah, we both agree. The real interesting question will be the tail end, like how it keeps going. Now, to be fair, when we talk about tail end, we got to go at least a month out, because I think Final Shape was about a month before it started dropping. This one could drop sooner, but if it doesn't drop sooner, we have to wait at least a month. And then if it's not dropping as quickly after a month, then we're getting our answer.
Yeah.
Once we're about a month in, I think we're getting our answer, because
it's been the age-old problem with Destiny is it takes a lot of time to make content. And if you don't make it replayable, and you know what? One thing that is replayable? Crucible. And not everyone here plays Crucible or is a fan of Crucible, but I can jump on every week with my buddy Jeff or a few other people out there who play Crucible from time to time and have the best night. And I wasn't worried about new maps or anything like that. I'm just playing the game, just trying to play against another Guardian. And that is replayable content. Yeah. So
because every time you go on a different experience, because you have different people with you that may make it harder or easier or things like that. And we're not getting new raids, just like you're not getting new Crucible maps. So, but even for me, even though how much I like raiding, there's still a point where I'm kind of, I maybe don't want a harder experience in a raid, even though it's different every single time. So, I even kind of get burnt out over time.
But that's the thing, though, is I think they're trying to get us to use this portal system, because think about it, if a new player, let's just take it from a new player point of view here. They open up that big map and all they see are these tons of planets everywhere. They don't know where to go. They see stuff flashing all over them. They get probably overloaded with input, with notifications and stuff, not to mention the flash pages if you haven't played in a while. It's overwhelming. So the deck, they said day one, you're going to go right to the portal. And you can still, by the way, toggle over to the main map too, just for our old timers who like that, like looking at all the universe. But Kepler will not be on there. Just keep in mind, you have to go through the portal to get to Kepler. So we'll have to see. And like I said, if they can make content replayable, I'm telling you, Crucible would be a lot more popular if they just had good ways of getting gear higher tier gear. Because right now, you pretty much get the same stuff every game in Crucible. It's a rotating list of limited things, but they're giving away a whole set of Armor 3.0 in Crucible this time around. That's going to keep Jeff playing. I guarantee you, he'll be working on building his Guardian to make him better in the Crucible. And everything we know about Crucible as far as those stats and armor is all out the window now. Now we got to start over and retest and see what's really going to work in Crucible, which kind of gets me excited.
But also, again, with his example, he would have been playing anyways. He's even playing still right now. So, I think we don't need to give the experiences of you guys that are going to play anyways. We need to give the examples of the people in the middle, because I think if we can catch them, because Bungie doesn't, when you talk about businesses and how you do the best, you got to keep the people on the fringes happy, but your your better way to go for is the people in the middle, because the people in the middle, if you can keep them on the hook, that's the people that'll stick around and keep playing. So that's, I think, one thing that we have to remember being podcasts too. Like, you have such a love for the game that your experience is not maybe what an average player thinks, and mine isn't either, because I'm at a point where I don't like to grind, but maybe an average person does like to grind. So like, and I know you like to grind too, but what I was just saying was like, still the average players don't play as much, don't enjoy it the same amount as you do.
Well,
so
yeah,
you know,
let's think about it, Kingsley.
So,
Why am I not playing Onslaught right now? Because when I jump in Onslaught, I've got all the weapons. There's really nothing for me to attain when I'm there. Nothing else that I want to attain when I'm there. But now they're putting this fresh spin on it, and that's really going to be the deciding factor. And we'll just have to see. We'll have to see how the new player, or the person who's more of a casual player, how they interact with this new portal system. We'll have to see. But I guarantee you, man, there's a ton of Guardians in our community, in our Discord community, that play a ton more than I do. There's some that have all the titles and are triumph hunters and get all the triumphs done and stuff. I'm not even close to any of that. So I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not will go away when they get all that stuff too, because they don't like to get like just doing bounties or alternate characters over and over. But they will look about it. Look what they're doing to complete triumphs. They're going into, it's basically a triumph is just a bounty. It's just a mission for them. It says you need to do this to get this unlocked. It's the same thing. It's not XP, but it's triumph score. It's a different currency, but it's still the same principle.
But they just like to do it once and then they're done. You like to do it over and over. Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends. Like I said, right now I'm at 150 on my season pass bar for my second character, my second account. So every day I'm going to play and start stacking some bounties, but I'm going to be cranking out those gunsmith bounties before they're gone. And at least be doing those. I'll be doing the repeatable ones over and over again while I'm stacking other bounties. That's going to be my game plan going forward here until, 12 days from now. So, all right. Well, we'll just have to see. And there's one thing that Robbie Stevens said, and I wanted to quote him from the live stream. He says, after the main campaign story missions are complete, you can unlock abilities anywhere. But this means that you can sequence, break puzzles, and missions. Bungie says this is entirely intentional and that it's looking forward to seeing what players can do beyond the limits of its own playtesting processes. We're not 100% sure where players might sequence break, said Destiny 2 Assistant Game Director Robbie Stevens, but that is intentional. So you don't even have to play the story in an order. You can play it in any way you want to do it. So that's the open world, right? The open world style of this new game. So I don't know.
I thought what he meant by that was like breaking out of the map or like getting
like glitching and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
like
so. That. Maybe I misunderstood.
I thought when he said break sequence, meaning not going with the linear story mission, but maybe breaking off and doing side missions.
We already know it wasn't linear all the way, so I don't know why he would be saying that again. But here's the thing too. I hear it's not entirely non-linear. Like, different areas can be done out of order, but once you're in an area, you kind of have to do that area. Okay. So it's somewhat linear at time to time.
I'm really curious how they're really going to change things. And this is really important for Bungie going forward. This is really going to be a key thing. If this new system flops and it's not what the players want, then Bungie's in trouble. I don't know. We'll just have to see. Like I said, I already pre-ordered, so I'm already going to be buying it and playing it. So, but yeah. Good. It's a good conversation, and we'll just have to see, I guess. Maybe that'll be a good question of the week next week. Going into next week's show is was it enough? Was it enough for Bungie, what they've done, with everything they've laid out on the table? Is it enough? Do you think it's enough to get people to get involved with the game that maybe hasn't been playing it lately, or even new players? We can sequence it anyway. So, okay. Speaking of which, we have questions from our community. Have a few of those. And then we're going to share the results of our question of the week when we return. Hey, Guardians, would you like to send a question for the show to us? There are 4 ways to do it. First, you can join our Discord server at discord.gg/Guardian Downcast. There's also a join link in our show notes down below. We have Guardians from all walks of life and all over the world, from new lights to day one players to hardcore gamers. There's also a channel labeled Podcast Questions where you can type in your question for the show. So come hang out with us. You can also email us with your question at guardiandowncast@gmail.com, or we also occasionally post about our upcoming show and guest, and you can respond there with your question at guardian_D_cast is our X handle. Finally, you can send us a voicemail with your question at guardiandowncast.com, and we might play it on the podcast. Think of it as talking with us right on the show. Thanks for listening, and later, Guardian. All right, boys and girls, this is the part of the show where we get our questions from you guys. And I'm going to go to our Discord here real quick and start with our Destiny questions that we have here. Kingsley, you have access to them, I'm sure. Just want to make sure you see them.
Don't delete it until I get there.
I'm not going to delete anything. I'm not going to touch it. Okay, here we go. We have first question is from Tajo Trade. Going off a little chat I just had in the Destiny chat channel. If Destiny was a high school, then what would some of the characters teach? This is an interesting question. In other words, Shax for PE, Zavala for history, etc. Of the main characters, what would you think they would be teaching, Kingsley?
Oh, I don't know. I'm always not creative with questions like this.
Well, I would say Ikora would probably teach philosophy. I see her as a philosophy type person.
Oh, really? Well, now that you mentioned that, I'm thinking more like science because of like chemistry because of like magical powers and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, chemistry. What would you think Drifter would be teaching? Life skills.
No, he would. Hopefully, he wouldn't be teaching anything. Teacher that got fired.
How to travel through space in a junk pile.
Oh man, he's the one that's like he's not doing anything inappropriate, but he's telling the kids like, let's meet after school and we'll hit the liquor store and get some.
Meet me there. I'll get you some. I'll get you some. I'll hook you up. Yeah, I could definitely see that. And then of course Crow would probably be like, oh no, I can't buy liquor for you. No, that's against the rules. What would Crow teach? I could see Crow teaching history. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
since he's definitely had a lot of life he's lived. Yeah, for sure. I could see Zavala teaching hand-to-hand combat. Probably good for a Titan, he likes to punch things a lot. Anyway, good question. Interesting question. Thanks, Tajo. Odo Yukamura, question for the show.
Another one of
these. This goes right along the same lines here. What song or band do you think would fit each class or subclass named NPC? Classical or musicals included?
People, we appreciate these questions, but our shows are so long as it is.
We're just being playful.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the classical listener? I'm thinking here.
What song or band do you think would fit each class, subclass, named NPC?
The NPCs. It's the same question as what would they be teaching in high school, but what would they be listening to, I guess is the question here. What would they be listening to? What kind of music? What would Ikora be listening to? She's a very reserved person, but I think she'd be a progressive rock person. I really would.
No, I think she's listening to
classic. Sure. I think that's Zavala for me. You seen his office? How clean his office is? I'd say he'd be the classical person.
Who?
Hard to say.
Who's that you're saying?
Zavala. Have you seen his office? How clean and proper it is? I'd say he'd be the one with classical music.
Oh, that has nothing to do with clean and proper. Trust me.
I know.
If my wife or other classical musicians, they can be the most untidy people.
I have an artist that used to live in my house, and she was a tornado. Let me tell you. The right brain creative people, they don't like to keep things in order. That's for sure.
So I still think Ikora for my one, but
what would Drifter be listening to? I would say Drifter would be into metal. He's a metalhead. Sure. He's definitely a metalhead. Okay.
Sure.
Fluffy, in your opinion, is Edge of Fate worth pre-ordering and buying? I've been on the fence about it ever since the ability for it to be able to be pre-ordered came out. I know there's been discussions about what is getting added and what is getting changed, but I think it would be cool to have pros and cons lists to go off of. That's kind of what our podcast was about tonight.
Yeah.
We talked about the pros. Yeah, we talked about the pros of what we're looking forward to from the live stream. And then, of course, our topic of the week kind of follows that vein. We're talking about, is it going to be enough for people to jump on and buy it? And so, yeah, I think
the biggest pro, even though we don't know how much stuff is coming, is that they even lowered the price this year. So if you just want to drop $40, like you said, and not go all out with everything, that may be the way to go. And remember, on PC, you get discount on all these too. So the 41, I think, is like 32-ish. The 80. Anyways, I got the $100 one for like almost as low as $80.
You went to Green Man, didn't you?
So basically, I got the $100 one for $80 on Green Man Gaming.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
And so now that's not going to help for people that aren't sure at all. Then the big thing would be just wait till the reviews come out from us and everything. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest pro, other than what we said this whole episode earlier on, is, you're out less money this year than last year.
I think a pro and a con, depending on how you look at it, is what they haven't shared. It could be a pro that they're being tight-lipped and want us to discover the world on our own without sharing too much. It could be a con for people that are on the fence that are not seeing enough new stuff to get them to pull the trigger. And that's the one thing about Bungie, their promotion department is always on fire. They always get us fired up by the time, that trailer comes out. But this trailer left people kind of in the middle, still kind of weaving. And the live streams have been helpful, but I don't know if they've been strong enough to drive it home. No. So it could be a pro and a con.
For the people on the fence or not considering buying. Yeah,
exactly.
But we gave lots of pros in the episode. So, yeah. Okay. It still could be reasons to buy it for sure.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for putting your questions in. If you do have a question for us, by the way, for the show, it's real simple. It's discord.gg/growingdowncast and just go to podcast questions. There'll be a Destiny and a non-Destiny thread you can enter your question into. And I usually give it a thumbs up if we see it and might possibly talk about it on the show. So don't be shy. Send us a question for the show. And it doesn't have to be Destiny related. It can be something maybe about us or whatever in the non-Destiny questions. But thank you for that. All right, before we go tonight, Kingsley, I wanted to share our results from our question of the week, and it was this. Bungie stated that the reward pass will only go to 110 every season. Basically, I said yay or nay. 33% said yes, that's fine, and 66% overwhelmingly said no. And here's some of the comments we got. I'll even mention this because I'm on a beat a dead horse here, but I'm going to say it anyway. I started the comments off by saying, I think Bungie is shooting themselves in the foot, limiting rewards to only 110. If they are welcoming the grind to Edge of Fate, then why not allow players to grind XP further than 110? 200 was a welcome change, but I feel they've regressed with the new modified reward pass. Taja Trade chimed in and he said, I think it's always a good option to give multiple grinds in a game. Some people love grinding PvP, PvE, or reward passes and challenges. Bungie keeps putting limits on these grinds and it kills a lot of the motivation to keep going. Amen, brother. Take vendors, for instance. Many people reset the reward bar once they get the shader or ornament on the second page. But after that are players who don't even bother resetting their rank again because all it gives them is enhancement cores and the like. Nothing meaningful again. Once I finish my season pass, I lose a ton of motivation to play since I'm not earning anything in the background anymore. And we talked about this when he was here in last week's show. Scarlet, the other Scarlet, I personally don't mind them dropping it down a little bit, but I think 110 is lower than I would have liked it. But if there's going to be less content than previous expansions, I don't mind the passes being smaller because at some point towards the end of the 200 tiered pass, the only thing worthwhile are the ornaments and cosmetics, but the armor pieces and weapons are just fluff you most likely have to have already gotten. I think I would have said 150 would be a happy medium. And yes, Kingsley, we realize the last 10 levels of the reward pass are 500,000 each, which basically makes it 150 as far as time you're putting time in. And then, yeah, Kingsley, you chimed in. You said, what we're talking about or worrying about, by the way, 110 based on the amount of rewards or 110 on how long it will take, because that is the two separate things. Some people might be fine with the one, but maybe not the other. But here are the facts. We know there are way more rewards than before. So this 110 rewards bar pass is better than ever before the amount of rewards. So what are we getting? 110 levels is maybe even more than we would have gotten in 150 levels in the past. Then point two, like Tajo mentioned, we also know that it will take longer than ever to get to 110, like we talked about. But I will pass on voting for this because I don't feel yay or nay sense. Ronan Redline chimed in.
I felt like the question was a little unfairly worded because you only had a yay or nay. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Were we trying to say yay on the amount of rewards or yay on the number? Those are two separate things.
It was a little vague. It was early. It was early on Monday morning. I wasn't quite awake yet.
No worries. But
I
just felt it was a little
probably should have put a third option there, like who cares, or I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Ronan says, well, I do like making number go up and collecting the associated rewards. I also like to have a max. It gives me a sense of completion. Around the time I know I can back off Destiny 2 a bit, focus on fun events with friends and community members, and maybe play some other games in my backlog. Deadpool, I feel no matter what, half of us will care and half of us won't. I don't mind it challenging. I know I don't mind it changing to 110, but in most cases I max it out fast. Plus I'm always maxed out at the consumables or items for crafting. I feel that they need to put random roll weapons or some god rolls and give a better armor with good stats. Just my opinion. Like I said in the past episodes I've been on, always have my opinions. And then Jimmy Rayner says, yeah, there needs to be a third option, like who cares? So maybe that was on me. So,
and one other thing, since just get my second point, what I think why we're getting more rewards I think the people that aren't aware of all the details, that's why this is an unfair question too, because they think we're getting less rewards, but I think we're actually going to be getting more when you also add in my second comment here. Remember that weekly seasonal hub thing?
That's
that gives us rewards there.
Dust.
So and I know that's not technically in the rewards pass, but if you add that with the fact that we're getting even more rewards than ever within the 110 levels, like they bumped it up tons more rewards.
Yeah,
I feel like we're getting more rewards than ever before. Okay. So I just don't understand. I remember we're getting 4 of these per year, where with the episodes we got 3 per year. Yeah, they went to 200, but they didn't have as many rewards, and they were only 3 per year, and now we're getting 4 per year.
Okay.
That's why I think you really got to be fair with the details.
I know.
I'm not saying you, but like people in general need to be fair with the details.
I should probably just give you what I'm thinking and you put it together, because you're a little more analytical than I am. You think it out a little bit more, where I'm just curious, it's like a curious, like ink blot. But, like I said, I think the question of the week for Monday will be, has Destiny done enough to bring people back to Destiny? I think that's going to be the question of the month.
And what does that even mean? Like to bring 2 people back or a lot of people back? Like we got to know what that means,
whatever Bungie considers it a successful launch, I guess. Let's leave. I'll word it that way. Will what Bungie has laid on the table, will it be enough and considered a success with Sony? That's a good question.
We'll never know that. They won't.
Well, do we think? It's an opinion. Do we think it'll be enough? Will the numbers be enough? We're not asking for exact numbers, but will it be enough for Bungie and will it be enough for Sony, their parent company, now to say, okay, let's continue forward here and keep going with Destiny?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. And they probably won't tell us, but we can give speculation.
But I mean, that's the thing is, it's just me putting a pulse on our community to see where everybody's mind's at. And even though it's not exactly analytically put together like a survey, a proper survey question, and I took marketing research, I should know, in college, but yeah, I'm just trying to get a feel of where everybody's thinking is there. I know we've stated our opinions and some people in chat have stated theirs, but I think that'll be the question of the month, or question of the week for next week. And if you want to answer that question and chime in, we might read your comments out loud. Remember, it's discord.gg/GuardianDownCast. It's right there on the bottom left of our screen. And that's a universal invite. So you hit that and you can immediately join. And usually some people will say hi to you as soon as you join. So, don't be scared if people jump in and say, hey, what's going on? We're a very friendly community. We try not to be toxic. We try to be very welcoming. So, don't be afraid. Jump in. We have people joining every day. So, hang out with us. It's a cool place to hang out. And we're not monitoring your usage. We're not making you, chime in or have to comment within a month or you're kicked. No, we don't care about that. This is just an easy place to hang out and talk Destiny and maybe some other things as well. So Hey everyone, as I take my mandatory bathroom break, I'd like to thank our Patreon community for giving back and continue to help out a listener-supported podcast like this one. If you've received any value for today's episode and want to give back, check out guardiandowncast.com and select the Patreon button to learn more about it. Now let's return to the conversation. And yes, I did wash my hands. Later, Guardian. Hey, as always, I want to give a big shout out to our Patreon community. They give back to our community where we don't have to worry about getting funds from advertisers. And, yes, we do put little transitions between our segments on our show, but these are the real people who back up our community and make sure a lot of our features and stuff we have in our Discord, as far as our hosting fees and all that good stuff, are all covered. And I don't have to pull too much out of my own pocket to run the show and community. So I want to give a shout out to our Dungeon Champion patron, Deadpool1 Merc. Thank you, sir. And to our Raid Boss patrons. That's Jealous, Frostbite, and Amazing Taco King. Thank you to everybody in our Patreon community. Every dollar helps go toward covering all of our expenses. And makes things a little bit easier on me as well. So all I have to worry about is just creating content, right? So thank you very much. Some final thoughts to wrap up the show this week. It was another busy Destiny info-splosion, for the lack of a better word. And I'm sorry if you're driving and you almost fell asleep during the TWAB or TWID or whatever you want to call it. A lot of information they were throwing at us that was not on the live stream. And that's why I wanted to make sure we went through it tonight and shared it with all of you. And I want to thank as well our live show chat for sharing their feedback on our topics as well as we went through everything tonight or this week. I really hope you can join us in future live shows. It's Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, YouTube, and of course our Discord live stage community. And if you're not, thank you for lending your ears on your favorite podcast app out there. I see you guys. So what do you think so far? Now that Bungie has laid out everything, well, almost everything on the table, will it be enough to get you to come back and try the next saga of Destiny 2? I'm really curious what you guys think. Let us know in our Discord. Again, that's discord.gg/GuardianDownCast. You can give us some feedback on our Guardian Downcast feedback channel in our Discord. And hey, don't forget to say hi while you're there. We've got a really friendly bunch in there. Really great community. Or, of course, if you want to send me an email, it's guardiandowncast@gmail.com. Or you can send us a voicemail with your concerns or comments or questions at guardiandowncast.com. Well, that's a wrap. Another episode in our collection. For our listeners out there, we have 310 other episodes with interviews from gamers all over our community, talking Destiny and whatever on our roundtable episodes. So take a look at those, especially if you're just finding out about us. And if you like what you hear, hey, just say, listen, I heard this new podcast. It's a Destiny podcast. Really cool guys, especially that Todd the Gator guy. Just go to guardiandowncast.com. That's all you got to tell them. The Gator part's optional. All right. I want to thank my co-host, Kingsley Mack. You can find him in our Discord. I'll have his X links, I believe, in our show notes down below as well. You can contact me at Todd the Gator, 2Ds, GATR, all across the socials and gaming platforms. And don't forget to follow me on YouTube, spelled the same way. You can reach me, like I said, at an email at guardiandowncast@gmail.com. Does anyone still use email? I'm just curious. I don't see a lot of activity there, but I'm not a big fan of email, but I do look every week. So if you do have an email for me, drop me a line. Let me know what's up on your mind. Remember, as you're playing Rite of the Nine, getting those bounties stacked, take breaks, get outside, and touch grass. Kilvin. Hey, thanks for being a patron, by the way, if I didn't mention it already. I appreciate you, brother. Remember, we're Guardian Downcast, your stories, your community, and your destiny. And be good to your fellow Guardians in the Destinyverse.
The weight of the world was on your shoulders, and still you triumphed. Marvelous.
Thank you all so very much for listening. And later, Guardian. That's it. That's all I got, Kingsley. Anything else you want to mention before we leave tonight?
I am great. Great episode.
Yeah, good talks, guys. Good talks tonight. Thank you, everyone who came out in the chat, in our Twitch chat, in our YouTube chat, and in our Discord chat. Really great conversations tonight, and I knew we were going to have a lot of information on that TWAB. Hopefully next week we won't be repeating that again. Hopefully it'll be a little bit lighter going into the last week before the launch. So thanks, everybody, and remember, what am I remembering? That's Dad. You can clip it. Fuck it.
Drink water?
Fuck it. You can clip that. I don't care. Just remember, be good to your fellow Guardian out there in the universe. And I'll see you in the Discord. Later, Guardians.
Yes. Remember to be nice to your fellow Guardian. Have a good one.
Oh, help me, Lord. Help me. Help me. Help me. Help me. Oh, my God. What the heck, Todd?
Well, I even kind of forgot, too, what you were getting at. And then like, oh, yeah, you're lying for be good to your fellow Guardians. I'm like, I don't know what we're remembering either.
What the hell, man? Jeez. What is a motto or a mantra? No, I'll edit that out.